What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another fantasy booking matchmaker / follow-up of the Mock Draft edition of the Smark Moment Smack Talk podcast. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, joined as always by Callum Wiggins.
Hello.
And Robert D. Felice.
Hey.
And of course, all of you that are listening, so drop your thoughts in the comments below and tell us your thoughts on everything that we're going to break down here, because today we are going to be following up the mock draft of what we did for the Ultimate or Super or Mega or whatever Forbidden Door that we had our big picking and choosing section for already, where we had AAA, AEW, CMLL, Evolve, Marigold, New Japan, NXT, ROH, STARDOM, TNA, WWE, and then we actually threw in some other things. I think maybe like one or two people might have been drafted from like GCW or something. We pretty much lost track of it, but it was just, whatever. Grab people from wherever that you want, at least as far as the current rosters that are happening. And we already picked our teams. We had our groups. It's actually, how many people did we end up doing? It was like 75, I think.
We did 80
80
80
picks, yeah.
Yeah, we did 80, and that was a lot to work from. So I found it pretty difficult. Before we get into, the specifics of our cards, how did you guys find this process this time?
Oh, this is just a brain dump of, this looks good, and that looks good, and wow, there's a lot of people here, but also there's so, you get to a point where only certain groupings work, and then you feel like, I don't have as much depth as I thought. At least I did.
I think once you see what I've done, you'll understand how I found this. I'll leave it like that. So
That's very interesting to me, because I don't know if that means I found this so fun and I loved it, or I just threw my hands up midway through.
I figured something out. I'll put it that way.
I was struggling with this, to be honest, because we had drafted people with the idea in mind being you're drafting people that you want, and it's not just a randomized thing, so you're not getting people like, wow, what do I do with just one of the bushwhackers? And then you got to try to figure something out when you've got so many people that you're like, I specifically want this person, and you're picking from multiple rosters worth of main event talent and everything. You end up with a lot of good people. And we did this whole thing differently at this time, where we were drafting the stables and factions and tag teams. So sometimes you got some people on here that you might not have necessarily gone out of your way to pick. And I always try to put everybody on the roster, that's on there. And if I don't, it's usually because it's like I have one person left over and there was nothing else for me to do or something. But, somebody like say JD McDonough probably wouldn't have been a major pick for me, all things considered. And I might have picked some other people from some other rosters if I would have had the ability to swap somebody or something. But one of the things that I found myself having an issue with was I grouped everybody together at first as the units that they were. So if it was something like, say, The New Day, I had Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods under a section that said The New Day, and it's just like, that's a tag team I'm working with. And certain groups, like the MFTs, I was just like, is there something that I can have where I keep them together? And then I would look at the other groups and I'd be like, no, that doesn't make any sense. That's a group of 4 or 5 people, and I can only have, realistically, this group of 3 could go up against them. So now I got to take people out, and then you start shifting things around. And I ended up really struggling with a few people. And to be perfectly honest, my card is, I think it's the best that I could come up with, but I feel like some of it's not necessarily the most creative in some ways. And then some other things, I feel like that's a pretty solid idea. Then some other people I'm a little bit disappointed with. So I'm all over the place for my card today. And of course, we always want to know what everybody has to say. So when we're going along and we're breaking down our cards here, leave your comments below and tell us your thoughts on wow, man, you really surprised me with what you did with Fraxium there, or that's a waste of Tavion Heights, or Blake Monroe deserves better, whatever it might be. And, anything else along those lines too. Keep in mind that you could also drop your comments on a couple different other methods. If you are on YouTube, that's the best thing to do. But if you want to check out the Discord channels, go ahead and do that. That's the same link all the time over in the sidebar, smark@mama.com. If you are on YouTube, though, make sure that you also hit the like button, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and get your email alerts set up, because we have post shows for pay-per-views. We have some random live things here and there. Every once in a while, we do a live mock draft, too. Probably have to do another one of those relatively soon and just get some people involved in that. But another great way for you to help us out, that's a little spare change tossing our way and keep the lights on. Click on the thanks button. Also click on the join button. Get yourself access to the Darkcast, the Pick Your Poison tier, even $1 a month. Greatly appreciated. Same with patreon.com/smarkoutmoment. Redbubble and TeePublic suck, but if you want merchandise, you can go pick them up. I suggest TeePublic over Redbubble because Redbubble is charging even more now. So, they're jerks. But the TeePublic thing, I wish I could find an alternative to that too. So if you're particularly interested in having more options for merchandise and stuff, let me know, because maybe I can really look into alternatives and maybe get away from those two platforms. But supply and demand, you let me know. For Fanboys Anonymous, A Mango Tees, and Smark at Moment. So we do have quite a bit to get into, and I will show you up on the screen right now if you're watching on YouTube at least. Audio only, of course. You can't see it on your screen. It's the whole point of audio only. But this is the section of the mock draft that we had. These are all the people that we're working with on this episode. So, I don't know, pause this video or something if you're interested, or go back and check the other one, put that side by side. We're going to explain all the people that we have on our rosters anyway. So it's not like you need to necessarily check this and go, okay, well, let me double check that Rob did have Sheamus on there. Either he did or he didn't. Actually, did anybody not use everybody on their card?
I used everyone. I never shy away from that.
I believe I used everyone.
Okay, so it shouldn't be an issue.
There's one person that I had to put in a management capacity as opposed to wrestling.
I'm going to guess that is... If you're looking through your roster here... Oh, actually, I don't know.
You won't see that now.
It's one of the group people, yeah. Okay. It's probably a New Japan person or something I'm too unfamiliar with. No.
Very much not.
All right, well, we will find out in due time. But who wants to go first? Or I could go first if either of you don't want to.
I don't mind, but it's kind of like, how long have you got with my one? So do you want to get the heavy lifting out of the way? I can do that.
Sure, why not? I don't know how long mine will go either. I've got like 34 matches, I think.
I have you beat.
Okay.
So, welcome to Forbidden Door Weekend. Because one card isn't enough for all this. I went into this with a very clear agenda in mind, which is no match with more than 6 people.
So no single 12 fan tag.
Yep, no 12 fan tag, no battle royals, no anything along those lines. It's just straight up 6 is a maximum of people in any match. And so I decided to, once I had that in mind, I realised that once I started breaking down matches that I had 40 in the end, and decided that, I'm going to keep these 40. So the only way to make that in any way feasible or palatable in a real world scenario is to split it into 5 cards. And so I have 5 cards, and I have themed the cards to group certain matches together based on what I considered relatable, I guess. So the 5 cards are called Forbidden Door Ascent, Forbidden Door Strength, Forbidden Door Rage, Forbidden Door Artistry, and Forbidden Door Spirit. And you'll see that, as I've matched people to what I feel like is the most appropriate to them. So let's start with Forbidden Door.
Vaguely reminiscent of that one card. I forget which one it was that you did, but you had like the
women's one where I broke them all into different factions.
Right, yeah. I like that.
I do like to think about these things and try and add a little bit of flair to them. So let's start with Vindor Ascent, because of course Ascent is you're kicking off Vindor. And as the name would suggest, it is based around primarily high-flying and younger wrestlers to be the kind of centerpiece of. So the night kicks off with an Ultimate X match. Kevin Knight, AR Fox, Leon Slater, Leo Rush, Commander, and El Phantasmo. So just get 6 cool high-flying guys doing cool stuff with the X hanging over above. I should also point out there are no championships in this. I treated it like Forbidden Door as if it was just a case of, hey, wouldn't it be cool to see these matches? And so there's no titles.
Championships for anything?
Nope.
Oh wow.
It's all just like, you know, it would be cool to see these matches. Because for me, Forbidden Door isn't about championships.
I will say this right now. I also did the same thing.
Wow. Okay. I'm curious what I would have done if I wouldn't have had championships.
So Ultimate X match, I have Kevin Knight winning, but you know it's just about having those guys doing fun stuff. Overall, the winners and losers of most of my matches don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Okay, and then I have as my next match Nick Wayne versus Callum Newman. 2 very young guys. I believe Nick Wayne is, I think he's just turned 20. Callum Newman's in his very early 20s. They're both, you know, very fresh-faced, and they have a lot of upside to them, but they're obviously not like main event levels yet. But it'd be a case of this is a showcase for them to demonstrate how they could one day maybe be doing the same thing in like the top main events of certain cards. And I'd have Nick Wayne win that one. For those unfamiliar with Callum Newman, he's a student of Will Ospreay. So he bears a lot of similarities in style to Ospreay. Next one, this feels a little bit, for people that know, this is a bit, I guess preaching to the choir a little bit, but it's Azumi versus Starlight Kid. Rob, you would be aware that that they've done this match probably 20 times before. But
sometimes you need to just do the thing that has to be done.
They are eternal rivals in Stardom. They have been that way for a good solid 4 or 5 years. And I couldn't find... But when I tried to pair them off with other people, I just thought, well, the best match they're going to have is against each other, so I'm just going to put them against each other. And I just had Starlight Kid beating Azumi, because Starlight Kid usually comes up with the short end of the stick of this feud. So I thought, okay, I'll give her the win instead. But for people that follow Stardom closely enough, they know that, you can't really go wrong with this match.
Yeah, that's something I'm completely unaware of, but okay.
Yeah.
Whenever you get to some of these people like Starlight Kid, I don't think I've ever seen a single match. Or if I have, it's been like, you know, like I was half paying attention or something. But I defer to you guys when it comes to drafting all those people and all that to begin with.
Okay, so then we have a tag team match pitting Top Flight with the manager Layla Gray, because I could not find a match that I was interested in seeing Layla Gray have. So I just made her.
That's a fair person.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's not like she wasn't their manager, so yeah, makes perfect sense.
And I've paired them up with Catch 2-2, which is TJP and Francesco Akira from New Japan Pro Wrestling. I thought that they were a really good junior tag team, and I think they'd pair well with Top Flight. They're a bit more like grounded wrestling types, but I think pairing them up with Top Flight would make it a bit more exciting and interesting. And then have Catch 2-2 get the victory, being able to like ground Top Flight and pick up some kind of a submission victory. Next, El Hijo del Vikingo versus Mascara Dorada. So go pure lucha with this one. And I think that they're kind of two people that thrive more with the spectacular in terms of their in-ring style, and so it's not going to be a very psychologically adept match, but it's going to be, okay, who's going to do the coolest stuff and who's going to get the win doing the coolest stuff in the process. And in this case, it'd be Vikingo would get the victory. But again, just be fun, and it's interesting because I wanted to do, okay, that's a match you'll never see because it's AAA guy versus a CMLL guy, so that will never happen realistically unless they, switch promotions, but it seems unlikely considering how highly they're positioned in both of those promotions. Then, no disqualification match. Saya Kamitani versus Mina Shirakawa. So, Saya Kamitani is the current World of Stardom champion. Mina Shirakawa is obviously Mina Shirakawa, part of Stardom originally, and then now part of AEW. But there is a story kind of behind this one, which is the reason why it's no DQ, is that in a few years back in Stardom, there was a match for the Wonder of Stardom Championship between Saya Kamitani and Mina Shirakawa, where Saya Kamitani accidentally blew Mina Shirakawa's face up with an errant kick and like destroyed. Mina had to go through like a lot of surgery on her like teeth and face to recover from that. So basically, it's a retread of this one. They did have matches afterwards, but now it's a very different scenario where when Mina came back, she was the heel side of things with this the Cosmic Angels group that she formed with originally Mariah May and Zaya Brookside, and Saya Kamitani was like a very a kind of bland babyface, but like a good babyface to have. Whereas now, Saya Kamitani is the top heel of the promotion in Stardom, and Mina Shirakawa is like one of the most beloved babyfaces in AEW. So now it'd just be roles reversed, kind of. And so I would probably take the approach of I'm happy. I should have gone further with what I did in that match, and yeah, I'd say Kamitani has got a lot more personality and character, but she does a lot of really cool high flying stuff as well. And then I'd have Kamitani get the victory on this one, because I just think that she's doing really good stuff right now. Then we move into a semi-main event, Ricochet versus Bandido, which I don't believe we've seen yet in AEW, or like not in a major singles match between the two of them. I think Bandido's in the kind of form of his life right now. He's doing really, really great stuff. Ricochet is like eternally great at what he does. So putting them against each other, I think, would be a cool mix of real, actual physicality and the high-flying cool stuff that these two are familiar with as well. So I think that'd be a great match to see, and one that hopefully we'll see soon, either in AEW or Ring of Honor, depending on what they decide to do.
Yeah, I can't imagine that they're going to stay away from each other for like forever.
Yeah, I imagine they might be both part of like the Continental Classic or something like that, and that'd be the first time we see them. But either way, it will happen eventually. And then main event of Forbidden Door Ascent is a tag team ladder match. The Young Bucks versus Fraxium.
Yeah, makes sense.
I say best tag team. I'd say arguably of all time against one of my favorite tag teams right now, like best WWE tag team, I think by a distance in terms of just their ring work. And yeah, it'd just be a case of like they're the veterans against the younger guys, and I'd have this be an opportunity to put the younger guys over, so Fraxium would win the ladder match. They're fighting for money on top of the ladder rather than any of the titles, but yeah, I'd have Fraxium get the victory.
I'm a little surprised. I thought that you might go with the Young Bucks win, but they win in a way that it's like Fraxium almost got the win or something.
No, why not put the younger guys over occasionally? That's something that more wrestling promoters and wrestlers should consider more often. Maybe put the young guys over occasionally. So that's card one. Then we move into Forbidden Door Strength, which will be on Saturday afternoon. We kick off with Chris Statlander versus Micah. Obviously, Strength is about the kind of the bigger, stronger, tougher guys and girls. So these are two of the two female powerhouses going up against each other. And I'd have Chris Statlander get the victory on this one, just mainly because I'm more familiar and I appreciate Chris's work more than Micah's, but I think it would just be a case of just putting two bulldozers against each other and see who survives. And that's pretty much the theme of a lot of these matches on this card as well. 6-man tag. I've put like a strong style unit of Hiroki Goto, Taichi, and Ryohei Oiwa on one side against a team that does have strength but uses it in a different way. Dalton Castle and the Outrunners. So it's kind of like I think it would be quite a good blend because obviously there's the more serious strong style ones and the other side is more comedy focused. But I feel like meshing them together, the Dalton Castle and his boys for this one of the Outrunners would bring out the comedic side that Goto and Taichi and Oiwa definitely have, and then they would bring out the more serious physical side of Castle, Magnum, and Floyd. So yeah, I thought that'd be a nice little mesh of things, just to get some more people on the card as well. Then we have Ricky Starks versus Yota Tsuji. Battle of two younger guys. Battle of spears as well, because Yota Tsuji used a Dean Blaster. Ricky Starks is not his finisher, but he does use a spear as well. So you could build the match around which one of them is going to hit the spear first and who's going to use that to get the advantage. I have Ricky Starks getting the victory on this one, but that one was kind of like a toss-up, like, because I don't think that you could go wrong either way with whichever one you chose to be the victor. Piper Niven versus Lash Legend. Match we've probably seen, but like actually, actual Piper Niven rather than wearing a suit and being part of this weird Secret Service thing, which is, it's good comedy stick, but like I know Piper Niven can do a lot more than that. And I'd say Lash has developed a lot in recent years, and so again, it's another monster versus monster type, and I'd have Piper Niven get the victory, even though I said in the previous one to get the younger people put over, but I think that you can build up a bit more of a feud between these ones. Piper can use her more veteran instincts to get a victory this time over Lash Legend. Tag team match, the Mighty Don't Kneels, Shane Haste and Mikey Nichols against GOA. So Bishop Khan and Toa Leona. Again, just two tough, strong, physical tag teams going up against each other, and then I'd have GOA get the victory on this occasion. But again, it's just putting two hard-hitting teams against each other. Then Jordan Grace versus Megan Bowen.
That makes sense. I can see that.
Again, just two brick houses hitting each other.
Subsection of the internet. I understand what you're doing here.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think again, it'd be even though they're both kind of like very physical and dominant, there's also the height mismatch as well, with Jordan Grace being pretty small and Megan Bowen being on the taller side of things. I'd have Megan Bowen get the victory here. Again, there's no real wrong answer to this one. It's toss-up, just depending on your preference. But I personally would prefer Megan Bowen to get the victory here. I think Jordan Grace is more established, so it'd be better to give Bowen the victory on this occasion. Then semi-main event triple threat match: Obafemi versus Brody King versus Boltin Oleg in a triple threat match. Yeah. It was originally just going to be Obafemi and Brody King. That was one of the first matches I booked. It was between those two. But then I saw Boltin Oleg and I couldn't really find a fitting opponent for him. But I thought, he's really big and he does a lot of power moves as well. So I think that having these two and basically be, Godzilla versus King Kong versus Mothra type deal and just have them destroy cities in the ring. I'd have Obafemi get the victory because I just think that he's got the most charisma and upside of all of them. So, but yes, just a case of having three behemoths go up against each other and see who survives. And then finally, for middle strength, a more of a strong style showpiece: Kazuchika Okada versus Konosuke Takeshita. Drafted both at the same time as part of the Don Callis family. But I decided, I'm going to put them against each other instead.
I would have been shocked if you would have had both of them in like some kind of 6-man tag, 8-man tag, some kind of thing like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was immediately going to separate those group up. But we haven't seen this match yet because, as I say, they're both part of the same faction, but they've teased it a lot. We know it's going to happen eventually, so I just thought, okay, I'll book it now on this card, and I'll have Takeshi to get the victory. Again, it's the two, probably top Japanese wrestlers in the world right now, so that's card number 2. We move on to Saturday night, and the Red Mist descends with Forbidden Door Rage, which is all gimmick matches. Or matches that will help bring out violence and no rules. So we start with a first blood elimination 4-way match where you're eliminated when you bleed. Andrade versus Roosh versus Atlantis Jr. versus Blue Panther Jr. So
I would
obviously
not
has
have anticipated that would be the group
How the
for a
fuck did
First
these
Blood.
four get in here? Like,
well, it's the idea of like Roosh is obviously heavily violent with that side of things. Andrade can push that side of him out. I know that he'd be the more like flashy type of things that probably wants to avoid this match. And Atlantis Jr. and my original idea was doing a tag team match of doing Andrade and Rouge versus Atlantis Jr. and Blue Panther Jr. But I thought, okay, why not make it a 4-way instead? And it's just the idea of Andrade and Rouge are both on the heelish side of things, and they've been ripping at the masks of Atlantis and Blue Panther Jr. and making them bleed. So it's the idea of, okay, just going to bring them together in this one, and like whoever's not bleeding at the end of it gets the victory. And I went with Atlantis Jr. getting the win for this one. But again, winners and losers kind of are much of a muchness in this on this sort of card. Tornado tag team match: the Renegades versus the Hate team of Rina and Konami. Rina in particular has done really well with this current 5-star Grand Prix they've got going on, and has been one of like the standouts. So I thought putting her with her kind of more typical tag team partner in Konami against Charlotte and what's the other Renegade's name? I know Charlotte's the one that currently Robin Renegade, yeah. I know we haven't really seen a lot of them, but I thought, okay, I'll just draft them as a team and just see what I could put together. And I'd have it would just be your typical kind of hardcore, all over the place tornado tag, and I'd have the Hate team get the victory. I Quit match: Buddy Matthews versus El Desperado.
oh my God.
Yeah,
Why?
it.
Like, so when you're booking these, do you think about like how we get here, or do you just like, yeah, like I want to see people?
I mean, originally it's just about I want to see these people go up against each other, and also like who's available that I haven't already booked. But in this instance, it would just be a case of El Desperado has a very violent streak to him. We know that Buddy Matthews has the stuff from House of Black, so we know that he has a darker edge to him as well. So they work well in the Rage card. And then I just tried to figure out a match that would suit both of them. I originally was thinking about things like either a strap match or dog collar thing as well. But then I thought, okay, they can do an I Quit thing because El Desperado's kind of built around the idea of not so much not giving up, but using like a sadistic side of himself, but being in a more babyface way. I guess like he's a babyface sadist, like a Mick Foley type or Mankind type. Whereas Buddy Matthews can be like a bit more, okay, like he never wants to give up, and he's always like crawling himself, feeling like he's always had to crawl up from underneath. So I thought an I Quit match would suit both of their characteristics well. And I'd have Despy get the victory. Like Buddy eventually has to give up.
I like it.
I did use the dog collar for the next one. Dog collar tag team match. So it's BMI 2000 from Stardom. So that's Natsuko Tora and Ruaka, the current goddesses of Stardom champions, against MK Ultra, which is Masha Slamovich and Killer Kelly. No,
if you're gonna book TNA, that's how you book TNA.
Yeah,
like I like it.
So these are very like violent groups. Obviously, BMI 2000 are part of the Hate stable as well. So I thought, okay, and there's always been like this aspect of MK Ultra of wearing like dog collars and chains and stuff. So I thought, okay, we'll attach them together. So it's one opponent attached to the other opponent, and just see how like violent and bloody they can get. As a result, I'd have MK Ultra get the victory, but yeah, as I think it would just be a pretty violent physical affair. In the same way that the tag team tables match between the Murder Machines of Brian Cage and Lance Archer would be against the Great O'Khan and Hanare of United Empire. Again, really physical, brutal guys that will go the extra mile to get the victory. I'd have Murder Machines get the win because, like, just because Lance Archer's the biggest dude, he could throw people around through tables pretty easily. It would be like your typical tag team table elimination match where you have to put both members of the table, both members of each team through a table to get the victory. Hardcore Fatal 4-Way match. Suzuki, Kaylee Ray, Momo Watanabe, and Ali Catch. This feels like right at home in GCW. That's why I put Ali Catch in it.
Yeah.
Kaylee Ray's great at hardcore stuff, and we don't get to see anything. I've called her Kaylee Ray because I want to wipe off the stink of Alba Fire from her reputation. Momo Watanabe uses a bat a lot, so she definitely fits in the hardcore side of things. But I'd have Suzuki get the victory because I think that she's so talented and really, really like. I would push her quite heavily in Stardom. I know she does get pushed, and she's the head of her own faction now, which is always a good thing. But I think that, she could be pushed more. Coffin match for the semi-main event. Wonder who's involved in this one. Darby Allin versus Kenta.
You mean that's not Noam Dar?
No.
Would make so much more sense if it was Noam Dar.
Yeah. So yeah, Darby Allin versus Kenta. I think that even though Kenta is more of a a traditional wrestler, I think that in his older age he gets more into the violence and cutting corners side of things. I think that his physicality and violence, just in-ring stuff, would pair well with Darby Allin's ability to just get thrown around by anyone and get the shit kicked out of him. So Kenta would just be able to just stand there and just throw kicks all over the place. And Darby would throw himself around and sell like crazy for him. And yeah, I'd have Darby Allin get the victory because it is his gimmick match. So, and then we end off Forbidden Door Rage with a Hell in a Cell match.
Good lord.
Mercedes Moné versus Rhea Ripley.
Good lord, what? I want to watch that.
Yeah, I'd say I had four top women that I had drafted, which were Mercedes Moné, Rhea Ripley, Toni Storm, and Bianca Belair. So it was literally just a case of deciding who's going up against who, which one match and what's the other. Okay. And realistic, thematically, it actually makes arguably more sense to do Rhea Ripley, Toni Storm, and Mercedes Moné, Bianca Belair. But we've seen those matches before, whereas we are yet to see Mercedes versus Rhea Ripley.
It is hard a lot of the time when you've got it would make sense to do this, but we've seen it, so it feels like it's a cop out, and then you end up being like, I want to toss out an idea that's something a little bit different. Yeah.
And we know that these two have a violent streak in them. Mercedes Moné has been involved in 2 excellent Hell in a Cell matches, so she knows her way around that well. I don't think Rhea's had a Hell in a Cell match yet.
That's crazy, but yeah, she hasn't.
But she should be able to figure it out. And as I say, these two are 2 of the best women's wrestlers in the world. They would have a great match. It's just literally they can have a match with some weapons inside a cage, but it's literally just Mercedes versus Rhea Ripley, so it will be a great match regardless. So then we move on into Sunday afternoon with Forbidden Door Artistry, which is all about the art of professional wrestling, like the actual technique and that side of things. So we start with a rounds match, which is, I guess, the equivalent of a Heritage Cup type match. Noam Dar versus Kosei Fujita.
Noam Dar can't escape the Heritage Cup.
Yeah, that's his thing. So I put him in there to be the veteran against the young up-and-coming technical wrestler from TMDK and Kosei Fujita. I have Noam Dar get the victory as a bit more of an experience in that style of match, but as I say, it would just be a good opportunity for these two to demonstrate a more technical, submission-based wrestling style. Move on to Queen Aminata versus Sori Anu. I paired these up together because they both have a kind of a similar aesthetic in terms of they both have this ice cool exterior to them, but then when the bell rings, they get very violent and aggressive. So I thought they'd pair off quite well with each other, and I'd have Anu get the victory in this occasion. But again, can't really go wrong either way. The Art of Lucha is demonstrated next with Hechicero versus El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. Again, it's one that you won't. It feels like pairing luchadors against each other, and rather than spreading the boat out a little bit further. But it's a case of we'd never see this match because one of them is a CMLL / AEW guy, and the other one AAA guy / Noah guy. So they both work in very different sides of the equation. So getting a chance to see them against each other, they fit more into their lucha, but they are more technical submission. I guess they're more kind of traditional wrestlers, because Hechicero has done a lot of stuff in like the UK and in America as well. Like Junior's done a lot of stuff in Japan, so they bring another dimension beyond just pure lucha stuff. And I'd have Hechicero get the victory. Ultimate submission match. Bryan Danielson versus Josh Alexander. It just feels pretty self-explanatory. These two are great submissions, great technical wrestling, so let's just put them in a match where whoever gets the most submissions in 30 minutes gets the victory. And I'd have Bryan Danielson win because, it's Bryan Danielson. Yeah. but I think it's a good showcase for Josh Alexander in the process. But
it feels like a match that would have been on Bryan's list had Alexander gotten there sooner.
Or if he's able to wrestle, he'll be like, okay, well, I definitely want to get in the ring with him.
I'll do that at some point, yeah.
I don't know if that's the case in terms of whether Danielson would do it now, but I think if he had been on his final run, he would have probably tried to do it before he retired.
Then we have a match to demonstrate the art of tag team wrestling. FTR versus the Street Profits. FTR is some of the best in terms of heel tag team psychology. The Street Profits are really good at babyface tag team psychology. So you basically just do it's one of the best examples of heel tag teams against the best example of babyface tag teams, and they just put together a very classic style tag team match, and FTR gets the victory. No real bells and whistles with these one. That's the idea of the artistry thing. It's kind of
just straightforward wrestling.
Yeah, keeping it in the ring that type of wrestling. So
that's a nice little nod to the Street Profits. I like seeing names that you wouldn't normally give positive nods to being featured on your card.
I know the Street Profits are good. Most problems I have with WWE wrestlers is the booking of them rather than their actual ability. Most of them are really good, so I don't think we ever really got to see a proper FTR and Street Profits match because FTR were on their way out of WWE at the time the Street Profits were really coming up. So
yeah, if they did have any kind of match at all, it would have been some Street Profits are just on Raw now, and Revival is a bunch of jackasses that they're they lose, and it would have been something like that. But I don't even think that they've actually had a match at all. I wouldn't think of it.
Yeah, I can't remember if they have. But they move on to a UWF rules match. A UWF rules match is a match which ends by either knockout or submission. It's a Stardom kind of thing that they introduced a few times. Primarily for this wrestler, Shiori, who's kind of the one that does these kind of matches the most, against Ty Mello. Because Ty Mello has her... it's the idea that she has her judo background. Shiori has a karate background, so it'd be a case of it's not really pure wrestling against each other, but they would be able to use their specific skill sets in order to have a more shoot style match. And Shiori would get the victory as a result of that one. Semi-main event: Zack Sabre Jr. versus Swerve Strickland. It's the idea of Swerve. They're kind of in a way polar opposites. And so Zack Sabre Jr. is a far more technical wrestler, and Swerve is a more, violent type wrestler, violent and high flying type wrestler. But I think it's the idea of Swerve can dip into Zack Sabre Jr.'s world. Zack can dip into Swerve's world and become a bit more violent and aggressive as well. It's just a case of seeing how this, not so much oil and water, but in the artistry way, just showing a bit more a yin and yang style effect with this one. And then I'd have Zack Sabre Jr. get the victory. But yeah, it would be a fun match regardless. And then in the main event, Toni Storm versus Bianca Belair.
Yeah, I feel like that's like you said with the Mercedes Moné and Rhea Ripley thing, it makes a lot of sense.
I think when it's all said and done, Toni Storm for me is going to be, and I mean, maybe it sounds harsh, but the only word I can think of is overachiever. She really went from being wow, she's a great wrestler to wow, she's one of the faces of the entire idea of women's wrestling right now.
Yeah, I think really cool. I think they'd connect quite well because they both can do really good wrestling when they're taken seriously. But I also think Bianca would lean in really well to Tony's bullshit stuff as well, because Bianca does have very good emotive working and facial expressions when someone does something that's a little bit, off kilter. So I think that she'd fit quite well when Tony tries to, touch her inappropriately or something along those lines. I think Bianca would lean well into it and fight back a result, and would whip Tony with her braid and all this other stuff as well. And yeah, I'd say I'd have Bianca get the victory. But again, wins and losses don't really matter too much. But it would be great to see these two have a match at some point. But I think that's very, very unlikely to happen.
I think Bianca would do old Hollywood very fun and very well, and I like this.
And that leads us into our final show, our final card of Forbidden Door Spirit, which is about just the heart and soul of professional wrestling. So we start with a singles match between Speedball Mike Bailey and Tyler Bate. Would just be fun. These two are really good wrestlers. They're on the smaller side. I'd have Bate win, but it's
that's a very Callum move.
Yeah.
At this stage in the game, I feel like
I know that Speedball is the more prominent star right now, but I know what Tyler Bate can do. He just doesn't get platformed well enough. So that'd be the first one, but as I say, just be a fun match between two guys that can have really great matches with anybody. Follow that with Kairi versus Alex Windsor. I've called her Kairi rather than Kairi Sane or Kairi Hojo because I'd go by the run that she had in her final Stardom run.
I need you to just say Alex Windsor's name properly.
Okay. Yeah, so it's Kairi versus Alex Windsor.
Thank you.
And yeah, as I say, I've been very impressed with Alex Windsor's work since coming onto AEW, and the bits and pieces that I saw prior to that, I think they'd have a really good match against each other. I wanted to separate the Kabuki Warriors because I think that they can work better as singles stars, and I didn't want to tie them up with a women's tag team that I'd have to throw together. So I'd have Kairi get the win here, but again, either way, it doesn't really matter. 6-man tag. The Bang Bang Gang. Juice Robinson and the Guns against Scorpio Sky and 2.0. This one was kind of a case of, who do I have left?
I was just going to say, the Scorpio Sky and 2.0, I'm curious.
I think they'd be, Scorpio Sky and 2.0 are kind of, almost like the way that Rob described like Tony Storm. They're a bit overachievers in a way because Scorpio Sky didn't really have much of a career in general until he joined up with SCU, and then has always been kind of punching up in AEW because of his injury record, all these other things that have kind of held him back. 2.0 were perennial overachievers, like two guys that were jobbers and ever-rise in NXT that come to AEW, and they're never treated as like top stars, but they have developed a niche and a character in AEW, which means that they're kind of beloved as a jobber sort of way. But I think they'd also work well as a comedy team, and Juice Robinson and the Guns can do a lot of comedy stuff as well and have a lot of fun. But I think they all have kind of a drive and passion for professional wrestling and just entertaining people that I think fits well as this part of this card. But I understand that it was kind of a bit thrown together with Scorpio Sky and 2.0, but I just couldn't find fitting matches for them. Moving to a singles match between Tetsuya Naito and Yuya. This never happened in New Japan, surprisingly. They never had a singles match before Tetsuya Naito departed. So this would give an opportunity for Yuya Uemura, who does have a lot of characteristic similarities to Hiroshi Tanahashi, to have a match with a veteran, one of the top stars in New Japan's recent memory. And has been a passing of the torch moment with having Yuya Uemura get the victory over Naito. Then we have kind of a pretty physical singles match between Julia and Jamie Hayter.
I can see that again, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to try and I wanted to make sure Jamie Hayter was fighting a Joshi wrestler because I think that her strong style approach really would fit well, and I think Julia has a violent streak to her that would fit well with this. I have Jamie Hayter getting the victory, but again, it's much of a muchness. Next singles match, Carl Fletcher versus Shingo Takagi. I just think this would be fucking great. It would just be an amazing match because Shingo only has great matches. He's one of the most surest bets you can have in professional wrestling in terms of just match quality. And Carl Fletcher has risen up to that level now where he just has banger after banger with anybody. So he probably should fight Sheamus at some point, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, Carl Fletcher has great matches with everybody, so does Shingo, so putting them against each other, they'll doubtless have a great match, and I'd have Carl Fletcher get the victory because he is very much on the ascent towards World Championship level. Semi-main event, Mayu Iwatani versus Asuka. They have like a history in terms of Asuka was like one of the top stars of Stardom at the point when Mayu Iwatani was really just breaking through. And so now we'd have an opportunity. Iwatani obviously now part of Marigold and Asuka now part of WWE, but it'd be a case of it's now gone a little bit full circle where Asuka is now a veteran at the I'll say it may sound harsh, but at the twilight, at the back end of her career, whereas Iwatani is now at the peak of her career, or at least was at the peak in Stardom, like being the top star of Stardom at the point of her departure, and is now on her new venture in Marigold. But it'd be a case of bringing these two that were once very closely linked at a different stage of their careers and bringing them back for one big match against each other, which is somewhat realistic now. If like the partnership between Marigold and WWE ever comes to fruition, you could eventually see this match happen. And then that leads to the final main event of the show, the 40th match, the 60-minute Iron Man match. So I knew that Will Ospreay was going to be like one of the people that would be main eventing this. But then I looked at my card and realised, he's actually fought a lot of the people that I could pair him up against. I can't pair him with Fletcher. He's had plenty of matches with him. He's had many matches with Takagi. He's had matches with Okada, with Takeshita, with Darby Allin, with Zack Sabre Jr., with Swerve. Like, there's only with Danielson. He's had that great match with. So I wanted to try and find someone that he's never had a match with, or at least not to my recollection. And so that led me to Ilya Dragunov.
Ospreay and Dragunov work really well.
Yeah, that's like these two are two of my favourite wrestlers in the world right now. Yeah. Dragunov has been absent due to his injury, but I think putting those two in a 60-minute Iron match and just do everything you possibly can do to each other, I think they would just be an outstanding match. I'll have Ospreay get the victory, but yeah, we'd all be the winners because we get to see that match.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've done it. We've reached peak Callum. This is the most Callum match to ever Callum. And there's no way it wouldn't be amazing.
Yeah, the only way you could add it even more is if like Angle came out of retirement and you just throw
him
into that
and like add Angle and Gunther somewhere through this, and yeah.
But so that brings to the end of the 40 matches and my 5 card Forbidden Door weekend. As I wanted to make sure that I wasn't just throwing like 20 people into a battle royal, even though certain people probably I couldn't find like great pairings with. So there's always going to be some matches better than others. But I think I got at least a solid like 20 to 30 good to great matches. And then the other ones can just be a little bit, okay, they're just kind of there, but they work in a sense with the others, or they at least can be there to just add a bit of filler and depth to the other cards. So yeah, there we go. There's Forbidden Door.
You can see this up on your screen now for anybody that's on YouTube, scrolling through and showing everybody that you can have this lineup. Highs and lows. I mean, I would, not to end on the end note, but I would say probably the best match would be Will Ospreay versus Ilya Dragunov.
I mean, but I'm also okay with things building to that level. I would also like to see the Mercedes Rhea Ripley match. I'd love to see that Tony Bianca match. Like
the 5 main events were like among the 5 first matches that I booked. That I established those 5 matches that I was going to do, and then I decided to make them the headliners of each of these cards.
Is that what made you do the 5 cards? Like, did you do the 5 main events and then went, I knew I was going to do multiple from almost like the day after we did the recording. I knew I was going to do multiple. I didn't know it necessarily would be 5, but I knew I'd do multiple cards.
That's so much, though. Like, I mean, like, if this is a real thing, I would love you and hate you, because, like...
I know it's a lot of wrestling.
To watch. Like,
but that's why I tried to make all of them fairly concise. Like, they're all just 8 matches long, each card. So they probably would all run about 3 hours, I'd say. like 3 to 4 hours, and then if you separate it out, as like it's the idea of in my universe, there's no other wrestling other than just these people. So because of, okay, we'll just put them all together for one like big show, but it's I'd say I understand it would be a lot, but it would only happen once a year, this sort of thing, and then we'd go into more traditional cards with certain people would be left off afterwards. But and also like I'm an AEW guy, I like matches. Like more matches the better. More matches the better.
No, I like it a lot. Like I think it's a great demonstration of your strengths when we do this. Whereas you're gonna get to me and you're probably gonna get to Tony, and it's gonna be like we threw things together, but you shine in these roles, and I love it.
I did throw things together. Like a lot of the 6-man tags and stuff were very much thrown together. Like because I just couldn't find a fitting place for some of the people. It's the issue of like drafting factions as well. Was a case of I've drafted these ones, but I have no idea what to do with them. Like, especially when I realised, I've drafted a load of AEW tag teams and only really one WWE tag team in the Street Profits. So I can't really. I'm not just going to put FTR against the Outrunners again against each other. So I have to try and figure out ways to fit. Even though it makes technically worse matches, it means that I can let other matches take priority. Kind of what you need to do.
Like, do you wish you would have drafted more WWE people?
In a way, but I'd like. I'd say potentially, but like not strongly enough. But I wish I hadn't drafted there's certain people after looking at this that I wish I hadn't drafted. Not in a negative way against the actual people themselves, but they just didn't fit. Like I wish I hadn't drafted the Renegades because it just didn't. They just didn't work, and I knew that I was going to throw them into just some random match that no one really cared about. And I wish I hadn't drafted people like I probably wouldn't have drafted someone like 2.0. I drafted 2.0 because I like 2.0, but it didn't work. So yeah, there are certain matches that just don't work, and they're just there to kind of make up the numbers and make sure that everyone got. But yeah, that's overall, I'm very happy with what I did.
I like it. I'm happy that we got to see a peak Callum card. I'll go next. This won't be a peak Rob card.
Make sure, by the way, Rob, that you put your card on the spreadsheet so I can show everybody.
I will do that. Do we keep these spreadsheets just for us, or can they all like look and?
No, it's just for us.
I see. Okay.
Tony will share it on the video so people can see it. But yeah.
If anybody's curious, if you want to like see the like share only or something, if people are curious, let me know and I can put up some kind of like public thing. I usually don't. I don't do that. And the thought process of like if we are currently working on the card, then like over the course of a week, if somebody were to be like, oh well, then let me just like see what they're already doing, and then they kind of don't need to watch the podcast, you know what I mean? But if people are interested, I could at least even like temporarily share things or something. But
eventually we should do it, because like when either this all ends one way or another, it's like it's good to keep it for posterity. Everyone can just see everything that we did. These hundreds of cards that we've come up with.
It is fucking crazy. I was scrolling through the list myself, and we've done a lot, guys.
Yeah. It's been many years, many cards.
It's one of those things that like it's something that we've done so much of, and I still feel we've never done enough.
Oh yeah,
I do agree with that too.
I mean, even on the Mount Rushmore, I was changing those from all the babyface and heel things, and I was like, we've done like 39 Mount Rushmore things, and then the amount of Mount Rushmores inside of that, I'm like several hundred, but yet we never did like Mount Rushmore of like entrance themes or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sort of. Alrighty, Rob, it is now your turn. Hit me with a bunch of names that I don't know.
No, you know most of these names. I drafted names that you primarily know. My Super Forbidden Door night one, I only have 2 nights. Begins, and I guess before I get into this, I should just say, this is going to be a lot closer to a Tony card than a Callum card, but I did follow Callum in like not putting championships on things. I tried to think of little stories, but at the end it just really became, fuck it. I want to see like this person versus this person, and I want to try to get everybody on the card. And that kind of became the two major goals. But like I start out with a pre-show match of Santino Marella and Mr. Iguana taking on the team of Jeff Jarrett and Frankie Kazarian. So this was primarily I wanted to do the Santino, Iguana, Cobra, La Yesca, and I feel like Jeff Jarrett's the only one who would play around with the tickle butt really well, and like who else would? Okay, Kazarian will, like he's been around long enough, he's worked Tennessee long enough that I think he could also do that. And of course, Santino and Mr. Iguana when I almost said like Yeska. I feel bad for Iguana. I think some people care more about the the next pre-show match is probably one that you will see on either NXT or TNA one of these days, and it's Dark State against the Rascals. And the Rascals being the full foursome of Myron, Trey, Wes, and Wentz. I went with this because it's like Dark State is finding themselves. Like this is very big on like where we're booking today, because Dark State's just finding themselves now. The Rascals feel like they'd be good fodder, and I'm putting Dark State over just because they're young. They can still be something. I've got like my fingers crossed that we're not just killing 4 guys' careers with this act.
Well, if you wanted somebody to be with the tickle butt, as you called it, it should have been
Cutler James, yeah.
Cutler, right up his butt.
I got to call that man a masturbator in an article recently. The things that they've already done to this poor Angle, I feel bad. Here's a great example of booking where we are today. Because in what universe would Rob book Deonna Purrazzo on the fucking pre-show, but one where she has fallen so far down the card that you have to just book her on the pre-show? Deonna Purrazzo and Ty Valkyrie defeat Rosemary and Wendy Chu. This is pretty simple. I'm forgetting the name that they called Deonna and Taya on AEW TV.
The Vendetta.
The Vendetta beats the Spooky Bitches of Wendy Chu and Rosemary.
I like how you forgot the Vendetta's name, but let's just go with Spooky Bitches.
Then we start the show with, again, something I'm forgetting. War Raiders I don't know if they called it the Viking Experience match, whatever they call the Viking Rules, whatever that thing is. It's the War Raiders against Jake something and Alex Hammerstone. Big meaty men are gonna slap meat, and they all look like Vikings, so we're gonna give it a Viking theme. And people are gonna go through tables and barrels and whatever the fuck else. I would enjoy watching this. I like watching big dudes beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, that works.
This is a pure wrestling tournament semifinal. Pete Dunne defeats Charlie Dempsey. I would like to see Charlie Dempsey wrestle. I would like him to leave WWE. I'd like Pete Dunne to leave WWE at this point.
Pete Dunne's got to go.
It's fucking sucks.
Yeah, let's kill the whole promotion. Let's start all over again. That's cool. Okay, I'm so on board with this.
Look, the best thing you got for Pete Dunne is Grande Americano the Third. What the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
But similar to Callum's card, my next match is an Ultimate X match. And when you know it, right in a big shiny spot again, how times have changed. But we got Sidney Akeem, Scribs. I like him. He flips. He does cool things. I kind of like Scripps now. It's him versus Devon Evans versus Sammy Guevara versus Cedric Alexander versus Mustafa Ali versus Pac. Because people are gonna flip, guys. They're gonna flip, and they're gonna fly, and it's gonna be fun.
They're gonna flip the script.
They are gonna flip the script at some point, And I think Pac would get the victory because he's probably the best booked name overall. I looked hard for Leon Slater when I was booking this, and then I remembered that Callum got him. I was a little upset about that. But yeah, this is an absolute dream for me. Next, we have what I can only describe as tell me these two acts wouldn't be the best undercard faction fun that you could ever imagine, and it's Vanity Fair in a street fight.
You mean Vanity Project?
I call him Vanity Fair.
Vanity Fair. And Vanity Fair gets People magazine.
Look, should happen. No, it's Vanity Project. So it's all of them, including Zeta, losing in a street fight to Shane Taylor Promotions. Because tell me you wouldn't want to see Shane Taylor cut promos on these entitled Abercrombie & Fitch looking models. Like, I think that this is one of the few angles that I got Vanity Project, and I'm like, I'm doing this. And yeah, I'd love to see it. Like, yeah, they're young.
I can only take your word for it because I don't know anything. I've never seen anything to do with Vanity Project, so I don't know who they are.
So literally, they're on Evolve, and they're just presented like the most entitled, annoying model rich kids. And I just think Shane Taylor Promotions and the way that Shane Taylor presents himself, and like the way that the infantry presents themselves, and then a go-go, like, I think it would be fun to watch. And I think like a lot of people would enjoy watching them get their comeuppance. Then the tournament, another semifinal, you get Daniel Garcia defeating Lee Moriarty. That was probably the one like AEW match I did, but it's Garcia and Moriarty. I wish they were both booked a little stronger. Just a throwaway singles, you got Tavion Heights defeating Eddie Edwards. This was kind of like all right, we're getting to leftovers part of the card, and I need to use these people. Then
I was curious what Eddie Edwards was going to end up being used for, yeah.
Then you get Keith Lee defeating Omos and Jasper Troy. Big dudes are gonna big. They're gonna big, and they're gonna big very bigly. And I'll watch it. Like, it's just one of those things I'd have fun doing. I almost put Omos with Jarrett and put Kazarian in the Ultimate X, but for some reason I just decided that 7 for Ultimate X is too many. It's one of those stupid things that, like, who cares in a fucking fake card, but yeah, there you go.
So you got a Bearcat against a Giant against a Monster.
Yeah, you got a Bearcat, a Giant, and a Monster. But I give the win to the Bearcat because I love Keith Lee. I miss Keith Lee. Barbed Wire Massacre. Nick Gage defeats Sami Callihan and Mance Warner. That is what it says. It's
okay, so that's GCW. So GCW representing GCW on this card.
They're gonna bleed. They're gonna pizza cutter. They're gonna fucking baseball bat. Yeah, they're gonna do things, and I'm gonna take that and then move you directly into the opposite and give you Io Sky defeats Sari.
Hell yeah, that's a match I'd pay to see.
And if you like that match, here's probably the one that I would want to see the most. It's Tag Team 2 out of 3 Falls match. Rey Mysterio and Mystico against the Lucha Brothers.
Yeah.
Ooh.
We're going to pretend that Rey's knees just work. And, like...
Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara?
We're going to pretend that also worked. And just give them the match they all deserve. Like, this would be a fucking banger.
I thought you were going to do Mysterio versus Mystico, just straight up. So it's interesting you decided to go in this direction, but it works, definitely.
And I would put the Lucha Brothers over because they're just a better team. But tell me you wouldn't want to see that.
Flippy people do flip. Big men do big men.
There's a lot of, very clearly, just flippy people flip. Big men do big men, and it works. Here's something that might have hit a little better in 2019, but I booked it here anyway. Becky Lynch versus Thunder Rosa.
Yeah, that's a
I think
2019
they'd have
match
a
for
fun.
sure.
I think they'd have a fun one. You know. I think if you can tap into where they both were at that point in their careers, we would have fun. And then, much like Callum said with Azumi and Starlight Kid, sometimes you see a match and it is good, and we're just gonna do it again, and we're gonna fucking listen. We're turning back the clock here. It's Kota Ibushi versus Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yep.
Yeah, listen, look. All right, some things just work, and that's one of them. And I'm putting Ibushi over because I think at this stage Ibushi's in the better shape of the two. But of course,
I disagree with that, but that's fine.
but like he seems more willing to just continue trying to go at the pace he was going. But of course, like this would be exactly as they were in their peak, and it'd just be a great match.
I agree that he's more likely to go at the pace that he was going, but that's also why he's more fucked up than Shinsuke Nakamura. But yeah, as I, it's been a while since we've seen that match, so it'd be great to have a repeat if they were both at their sort of level.
Next we have a hardcore women's match, and Bozilla defeats Rina Yamashita.
Yeah.
Because why not? Like, just putting people exactly as they land. I thought about maybe making Bozilla a heater for the Vendetta, and then I said, I'm just going to do this instead. And then we get to our final two matches of the first night of the Super Forbidden Door card. AJ Styles versus Kenny Omega. Need I say more? It's, they've never solved their issues here, and they should.
One of the things that I'll never forgive AJ Styles for is never just leaving for 1-2 years just to have that match with Omega.
But just doing the AEW run and having
I don't even need him to run, just to have that one match with Kenny Omega and I'm satisfied.
Oh, if he went, but if he went, he's not going back.
Oh yeah. But as I say, that's definitely the match that I would want to have AJ Styles to have. If there's one match that he can't possibly have that's that was available to him, it would be to have that match with Omega that we never got to see after Omega kicked him out of New Japan.
And then the main event of the first night is a Texas death match between Hangman Adam Page and CM Punk.
Okay.
Oh my god. Yeah. This is very much fantasy booking right now. But yeah.
Arguably, this should headline the overall card as opposed to the match that is headlining night 2. But it's Hangman Adam Page and CM Punk. It's the personal issues that nearly destroyed the utopia that was AEW, and Hangman, they bleed. Hangman gets to kind of do his thing where he can choke Punk out. Punk willingly taps out. Everybody goes home happy. Like I actually think in the way that I have it in my mind that they would have a really fun match.
Yeah, it's a good starting point.
So we get to night 2, and there's some early pre-show matches. You get Natalya versus Catalina versus Yuka Sakazaki versus Callie Armstrong. This is very much a get every woman on the card thing. I'm going to give the win, oddly enough, to Catalina. I think she's the most fun currently at this stage of the 4. Natty, not that this matters. Again, it's fake, but she would be doing what she does on the Independent rather than being the settle your tea kettle WWE mainstay that just blends into the furniture, even though she's out there having fun on the Independents.
It is so weird what they're doing with Natty these days.
The next match is Satoshi Kojima versus Naomichi Marufuji. Largely,
Old man fight. Old man fight.
I'm all out of ideas. All right, so yeah, they have their old man fight. Kojima wins because he eats more bread, and And then we go to our next pre-show match, which is Triangle of Madness defeating the Elegance brand. Because the Triangle of Madness fucking rules. And the Elegance brand, I like them. I like what Ash by Elegance is doing. But I'm having more fun watching the Triangle of Madness right now. Next, we have a singles match between Wheeler Yuta and Shooter Umino. Wheeler Yuta wins. This is largely just I'm Mox's favorite son. No, I'm Mox's favorite son.
Yeah, I thought that'd be the story. That works.
Mox is too busy worrying about other things to care about either one of his children, but it's okay. They have a good match. Then we get a TLC tag match. Swords and Machine Guns. It's the Hardy Boys. And it's the Bar. Because I love the Bar. The Bar made me go from hating Sheamus to loving Sheamus. The Bar can do no wrong. But in a world where I get to choose which tag team goes over, it's always the Machine Guns. Machine Guns fucking rule.
Yep, that's like that works. But
Raise
yeah,
your fist.
they only.
Then we go to the Pure Tournament Finals, and Pete Dunne defeats Daniel Garcia. I want Pete Dunne to leave WWE and go wrestle somewhere else. In a fun get him on the card, and I think they'd have a really good match. Hiromu Takahashi against the Beast Mortos.
Yeah, that is interesting. Like big man, little man approach. Yeah, I'm sure they'd have a very good match. Be interested to see if they do something with them at some point, considering like Takahashi doing stuff with AEW and build up to Finn, or be interested they just do like a one-off match on Collision or something.
So we're gonna do what I'm calling a trios free-for-all four-way. It's Finley, Gabe Kidd, and Ishimori of Bullet Club War Dogs versus Legado del Fantasma versus the Paragon versus Jay White and ABC, Ace Austin and Chris Bay. I'm going with ABC because they were in White's Bullet Club. Those three worked really well together. Obviously, Paragon is one of my favorite acts of all time. War Dogs are great, and they're going to pick up the win here because I think you should put Gabe Kidd over when you get the chance to do so at this stage. And Legado, I'll say this. Legado del Fantasma is the reason I'm happy WWE is doing stuff with AAA. I like seeing people who deserve to be used being used. And I think they would have fun.
I think I'd say that's a lot of bodies in one match. So I think it's somewhat surprising that you kept like both Adam Cole and Jay White and put them into like a multi-man trios match.
The alternative would have been putting them in the singles, and they would just fight each other.
Yeah, I would have gone with that probably. And
what's the group again?
It's Jay White. It's Jay White ABC. It's Paragon. It's the Bullet Club War Dogs.
There's the Bullet Club War Dogs.
It's Finley, Gabe Kidd, and Taiji Ishimori.
Okay.
And
this is one of those things where I'm like, most of the people are people that I couldn't really even comment on, so I have no idea if, like what the match outcome would be. That's my ignorance when it comes to a giant Forbidden Doors. When you don't watch a lot of the things where it's like Siori, I'm like, okay, I don't know.
So the next match, I thought, I'll say this. I thought about putting Athena with Tiffany and just doing that. But then I didn't want to put Billy on a pre-show. And then I ended up deciding just a quick idea of Athena and Billy and another one of Athena's minions for the sake of this fake show. It's Jada Parker against Bailey, Lyra and a babyface Roxanne. The idea being Lyra and Roxanne look up to Bailey. They're Athena's minions, and obviously Athena wins because I think Athena is like one of the greatest acts in AEW right now. And I just didn't want to do Bailey against Athena because we've seen it. I would think about doing Athena Roxanne because first ROH Women's Champion, longest reigning ROH Women's Champion. But then I thought you'd have some women on the cutting room floor. So this was my let's make sure everybody's used kind of idea.
Yeah, I like it in terms of it could be a good preview to a future Bailey versus Athena match, just by having this trios match instead.
Maybe the most I don't know how they would work, but I'm gonna take a stab at it and say they're good together. Tiffany Stratton wrestles Hikaru Shida, and I really miss Shida. And I would probably, just because my brain is so right now focused, I'd probably give Stratton the win here. But like Callum has been saying, wins and losses don't matter. This is more about just what can you do?
Yeah, this is the Road Dogg philosophy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say I would have reservations about that one, but that's just because I don't know, this current Tiffany Stratton character and run thing just I think has ruined my perception of her a little bit.
I think she's doing as good as ever between the ropes. They're not giving her the best opponents, Van Hansen, and I feel like maybe somebody like Ashita could bring out something really good in her. But then we get to our final two matches on the card, and if you know anything about my roster, you might know where this is going. And for the main event, but the semi-main is an exploding cage death match: Jon Moxley versus Minoru Suzuki. Moxley's going to kill Suzuki. Is what I'm saying here.
Murder time, murder grandpa against murder stepfather.
Yeah, and in this case, stepfather gets grandpa probably with a fork or something. I just imagine they would have fun. I really wanted to give Mox a spotlight death match. The alternative was going to be some kind of death match with the guy who's actually in the main event, but I ultimately decided to go with this instead and make the main event a match that I just wish was happening. I wish the Wrestling Forbidden Doors could come down for just this one. I want to see John Cena wrestle Hiroshi Tanahashi. This is like me booking my childhood, but Hiroshi Tanahashi is the reason I started watching New Japan on a regular basis, and Cena is the face of WWE for my whole generation. So I'd like to see them have a respectful match. We're gonna pretend their backs are good, their knees are good. It's as close to them in their peaks as you can get, and John Cena gets the dub because he's Cena. But this is what I wish we were actually seeing.
I thought as soon as you picked Tanahashi that this was the match that was going to happen. So I'm glad to see it come to fruition. But yeah, it's it's the two kind of aces of their promotions at their respective period of times going against each other. So it works very, very well, and it's kind of thematic between the two of them.
As far as that is my full card. I will try to get it up on the spreadsheet before the
you still don't have it. Okay, well, because there's nothing that I can show you.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but all right. Well, then I can't switch over to show it to anybody.
But that is my card. Personally, like I said, I want to see that Mysterio Mystico versus the Lucha Bros match. I want to see Cena Tanahashi, and I'd want to see Mox kill Murder Grandpa and Hangman Page get his vengeance on CM Punk. But what do you guys think?
Well, now since I don't have the list to look at, I don't remember what the matches were. So.
It's a little bit tricky with about the collarbone. I mean, I like the Tanahashi and Cena one is just like you have to do that match. So if you have the availability to do it, then it just makes thematic sense to do so.
I mean, Styles Omega, like we talked about, like
oh yeah, that's the obvious one. Yeah,
you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, as I appreciate like putting the Athena and Bailey thing, but making sure they got their like teams associated with them. But like in general, in a more general sense of things, that I prefer just a one-on-one Bailey and Athena match. But I understand the reasoning for why you did what you did. Yeah, the Lucha Tag Team match would be a lot of fun as well. I think that, yeah, I'd say there's some that I'm not as interested in. Like, I don't really need to see, like, I mean, I'm sure it'd be fun in a weird sense, but I don't need to see like 60-something-year-old Satoshi Kojima versus 60-something-year-old or 50-something-year-old Marufuji. Yeah, I'm not too sure about Bozilla against Rina Yamashita. I think they're both talented, but I don't know. I think you'd have to do a whole match like you've done because of the insane height difference between the two of them. But then again, I did see Bozilla have a match recently against Saya Aida, who's about 2 feet smaller than she is, and that was like quite fun to watch. A bit of a like they did they went to do like a lockout to start the match, and Bozilla had to get on her knees to be at the same sort of level as Aida, so that was kind of fun as well. So yeah, there's some matches that I'm like a little bit nonplussed about, but there's plenty in there to get excited about.
I think I really did the best with what I ended up drafting, and like you don't realize how crazy it is until suddenly you've drafted like, oh man, I gotta figure out what to do with Vanity Project, and I liked what I was able to come up with for them.
My blind spots, of course, are always if I don't know who the like New Japan or whatever
would sit
talent
there
are.
and watch Keith Lee and Jasper Troy and Omos
Absolutely.
And go,
I couldn't tell you if like Bozella would be better off against somebody else or whatever. That like those names, of course, I'm at a loss for. But like you throw the 3 big dudes against each other that I'm aware of. Okay, I'll watch that. I would say probably like some of the matches, like it was Tiffany Stratton against Hikaru Shida. Yeah.
Yes.
I just feel like it would be just a match, and like I don't have any kind of affinity right now for Shida or Stratton to make me feel like I would put them, if I had them on my card, I wouldn't put them in any kind of like prominent spots. So pairing off 2 people that are more on that, like I believed in you more before side of things, I probably would have.
I definitely felt the same when I booked Becky and Thunder Rosa.
Yeah, like you said, it was like that's a 2019 match. You put that then, and it's going to be like that's a big deal. You do that now, and everybody's like, all right, well, when's Becky going to win? And just poor Thunder Rosa on that front.
I added it to the thing. It's not nicely formatted yet, but it's there.
Let me switch over. There you go, everybody. This will be formatted another time, but now you can see the list of, Hiromu versus Peace Mortos and Taviana Heights, Eddie Edwards. That would be another one that I would be like, I could skip that one. Yeah.
That's just a match. Like that's there to be a match.
Yeah. I mean, we all have matches that are just for matches.
Oh yeah. Io Sky versus Ray as well.
Yeah, I mean that's very Callum match. Also, the Ultimate X too. I want to see people do flippy things. I really enjoy seeing people flip and people do big man things, and I like when people are just in their element. Like Callum booked expertly throughout 5 cards.
Yeah,
I'm a little bit disappointed that I didn't do an Ultimate X match to make it all 3 of us, but I fucking forgot about it. To be perfectly honest,
that's fine. TNA was kind of an afterthought of the entire draft anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. But I the one thing that I would say, I don't think I would have done Paige versus as much as it's like, it's funny because of the reasons for Punk leaving. Just based on the match they had at Double or Nothing, which wasn't that good. Like, I don't think I'd want to see them have a match against each other again.
I just imagine like if Punk could put his bullshit aside for everyone else, I think he could do business for fucking Hangman.
right, so now it goes for mine. I honestly didn't book this in like match order. To be like, okay, well, here's like 2 cards, and we're gonna start off with this match, and then we're gonna go into this match, and lead up to this main event or something. Just partially because I had like 34 matches or so, and I was just like, yeah, I mean, at that point, I don't know how I would really structure a card to go that far where it's basically 4 nights worth of stuff. So instead, I kind of just paired them off split by split of like, if I were to separate these 2 cards into 2 cards and try to balance them out more, what's the match that could go opposite of that? So I'm going to bounce around on some things, but I'm actually going to start off with top of the card in some fashion and then kind of bounce around. I've got 2 championships, like 2 brands kind of idea. And I didn't finish all the titles mean this and this is this championship or whatever. I kind of just went with like, all right, WWE and then World, and I'll figure out if I want to give a different name. But I ultimately decided, is it Raw and it's SmackDown? Is it technically not WWE? Am I going with a different thing? So at that point, I lost track of like, I could just call this mid-card title 1, mid-card title 2, world title 1, world title 2, that kind of thing. And whatever this promotion would be, if it were, I'm making my own Apex Wrestling organization or whatever the fuck it would be. Like maybe that's the Apex World title or the Zenith Championship or whatever the fuck. I don't know. It ultimately doesn't matter though. It's world titles, mid-card titles, tag titles, etc., etc. So one of those would be a heel Gunther as a top world champion against a babyface Samoa Joe.
Yes, please. I'd book that match on my which card did we do that on? It was I think it was the Champions Randomizer thing we did recently. I think that was like, let me check because I'm sure I did that match. Let me see. Yeah, it was the World Heavyweight Championship match of my Night of Champions thing we did last time. So yeah, Gunther and Samoa Joe is a perfect matchup.
It just makes sense. It's just one of those things where I was looking through and I'm like, there's a lot I compare with Gunther, a lot I compare with Joe. Why wouldn't I just pair them all?
On Tuesday, but to describe how that match makes me feel, I'll say this:
come Tuesday, I love that idea.
Okay, like that's the kind of shit you dream about because you're a wrestling nerd, and it just fucking works. Can you imagine peak Joe against Gunther right now?
Right.
Like, fuck.
And I think between the two, you got to have Gunther as a heel because obviously Gunther hasn't been a babyface yet in a way that like would make any sense. Like I wouldn't switch the script up there. It's Joe's the guy that you would get behind as the challenger, and he puts up a good fight. He, chokes out Gunther on the way to the pay-per-view or whatever it is, and then Gunther figures out some kind of way to retain.
I'll never forgive WWE for benching Joe for as long as they did, because we could have gotten
so fucking ridiculous. We could have gotten so many more matches out of that. We could have gotten John Cena, Samoa Joe. Like it's the opposite world title is a triple threat match. Cody Rhodes, babyface champion. Randy Orton, tweener-ish challenger. And full-blown heel MJF with Paul Heyman. I did not keep Paul Heyman with any of the people that he's been with the Vision and kind of that front. I figured, I could see that pairing working very well, and like the two of them playing off of each other and having a lot of fun. And the story here kind of has Randy Orton as the mentor to Cody. Cody is the mentor to MJF. Paul Heyman, of course, being somebody talking in MJF's ear and being like, you would switch between who out of all the people would Paul Heyman want to latch on to in that kind of a scenario. Well, MJF is the younger guy, and also I'm going to move on to the next big thing on that front. And I'd like to see the dynamic between Randy Orton and MJF in that scenario too, where people are going to cheer Randy Orton as the tweener. They're going to boo him if it's Cody, in the pure babyface side of things, but MJF and Randy Orton get into their spat too. MJF thinking, wow, the two of us can take on Cody, and then it's like, well, no, motherfucker, I'm not your partner. I'm winning this championship too. And
Yeah. I can see Randy hitting Max with a lot of I was making history and winning world titles before before you hit puberty. Like everything that you dream of being is only because of who I am. I would make one tweak, and it's that you said Cody's the babyface champion, and I think what you do here is it's been done to death this year, but it is the best way to book Paul Heyman, which is Paul Heyman's actual client is the championship belt. So for whatever reason, he's with Cody. You could tell the story of how Heyman gave Dusty, one of his breaks at a time where he was at his lowest. Heyman follows the belt, and then Heyman, has Max swerve Cody, and that's how Max probably wins this. That's what I would do.
I figure you got the Orton MJF kind of dynamic of Cody taught you everything that he knows. Well, I taught Cody everything that I know. I didn't teach him everything that I know, and Cody didn't teach you everything that you know. So why the fuck do you think you could beat me? Kind of, there's a couple other spots I could have put Paul Heyman too, and obviously I'll explain those. I could have put him with Seth, could have put him with Brock, could have put him with any of the Bloodline folk, but for some reason, I don't know, the idea of MJF and Paul Heyman just struck me. And this was actually a tough thing to set up. I was going through the list and I was like, oh, MJF could be up against so many people. And then when I started to actually write down the names, I was just like, do I really want MJF versus Drew McIntyre more than some of the other options? Do I really want MJF versus Roman Reigns more than some of the other options too? And once I thought about this legacy triple threat, essentially, I just settled on that, and I was just like, yeah, that's a marquee thing too. Rhodes, MJF, Randy Orton for the whatever world championship number one kind of thing would be. Because if I had to pick, Gunther Samoa would be the world championship concept, and then Cody, MJF, and Randy Orton would be the WWE Universal, the more WWE-ish match. So starting off with those two main events, obviously that means we're bouncing around with some good and some bad. Let me give you some matches that are not really particularly the most amazing things in the world. I have the MFTs in a 6-man tag, Solo Sikoa, Tamatanga, and Tongaloa against a 6-man group or trio of The Family, Tony D'Angelo, Channing Stacks Lorenzo, and I put Nico Vance here. And that seems a little bit weird because I have the culling, but I did something different with a different version of the culling. And a name like Nico Vance, if you wanted to make this guy into The Family, they very easily could have just been I'm going to bring in Luca Crucifino as my consigliere. I've got Stax as my underboss. I've got Adriana Rizzo as my valet, the woman of the group. If they wanted Nico to be in that group, they super simply could have just been and that's the muscle. It's that simple. Nico Vance. Yeah. So I didn't have any other real ideas in mind for using characters like that. And The Family has their little mafia thing. The MFTs have a little bit of a mafia-ish vibe going on. I have down the babyfaces win The Family. It really doesn't matter.
He's not quite Nico Bellic, but I guess he'll do.
That name sounds familiar. What is Nico Bellic?
It's GTA 4.
That's what it is. I was like, wait a minute. I don't remember that wrestler. It's something though. Opposite of that, like I kind of balanced this as like, if I did one night with a 6-man tag with that sort of level of like, yeah, it's not the biggest, most important thing in the world, whatever. Same on another thing, 6-man tag of Chase U, Andre Chase, Cale Dixon, and Uriah Connors against Alpha Academy, Chad Gable, Brutus Creed, and Julius Creed. You got a tag team, you got a leader. It's a school versus school.
Academy.
Yeah, school rivalry thing. I think that this would be a good match overall. I think that Dixon and Connors, of course, are the weakest part of this because they are relatively still rookies and but I think that they could hold their own in a 6-man tag, and Andre Chase and Chad Gable can have a lot of fun together, and the Creeds are great. So Alpha Academy are the heels. They are the winners of that match. Let's see. Let's go with, well, I had mentioned before that Smojo and Gunther were against each other. So let's go with their subordinates in tag team form. The Ops, Hook and Katsuyori Shibata. Got to go up against the people that are supporting Gunther. And that's a version of Imperium that is Ludwig Kaiser and Rusev. Rusev is not a part of Imperium in any fashion, but I couldn't think of anywhere else to put him. And I thought, you know what? He could work in that front. I could see him teaming up with Gunther and being like, let's, redeem these people in the ring and all. And since Samoa Joe loses to Gunther, let's give Hook and Katsuyori Shibata the win over Kaiser and Rusev. I think that overall, this would probably be a pretty decent match too. I think Kaiser, Rusev, Hook, and Shibata could have some decent chemistry.
The mat isn't sacred to Rusev. He ruined a wedding in the ring one time. Nothing is sacred to Rusev.
Yeah, I'd like to see Shibata and Kaiser. The others I can take or leave, but yeah, those two would be really good.
Opposite side of things for that, the tag team match, I'm calling it the Runway Rumble. MXM Collection against Pretty Deadly.
Look, I'll be honest. If I had these people, this is where I throw in all those backstage segments. You're not getting a match. These people are going to do sketches, and it's going to be fun. Like, it's
primarily a gimmicky thing like that, and of course Mansoor and Mason Madden are the baby faces between the two because Pretty Deadly.
When you say Runway Rumble, does that mean that like anytime they get thrown out over the top, they have to come back through the curtain with a different outfit on?
Sure.
I'm imagining like a version of like a scaffold match, but instead it's actually on way, and you lose by being thrown off the runway.
Okay, but the entire time they have to try to keep poise, like they gotta like.
Ultimately, it was I wanted to call it Runway something, and I couldn't think of another name other than Rumble that would go with that alliteration wise. I didn't really think about the gimmick itself, but they would. You pair these two off, and you do whatever gimmicky, weird, funny, silly thing that you can think of, and.
It could be after every minute they have to strike a pose. If they don't, it's like musical chairs. They're out. Yeah.
Or it's like an Iron Man match, and you get points per pose.
The idea of doing that, and then you get like somebody to be a judge. Like I don't know what extra characters you have on your roster, but like, can you imagine? That'd be a lot of fun.
The only extra is Paul Heyman. Imagine Paul Heyman being the guy that's doing that.
I like it. I'm sold on the ideas that I have in my head of what this would be.
I did think about, of course, teaming them all up and doing an 8-man tag, and it's like the 4 models against 4 other people, but then I ended up with like so many other 6-man, 8-man regular tag team match things that I was just like, no, I want to see them against each other. I want to see something where, maybe it's not a match, maybe it's like the pose off type thing, maybe it's like one of those, you have Piper's Pit at a WrestleMania or whatever it is, and you're like, all right, just have them.
Like when I do Miz TV, because I don't want to put the Miz in a match. Like,
yeah, like some kind of thing like that, where it's just like, you're not here to watch Mansoor against Kit Wilson do a DDT and whatever. You're here to see the characters interact, and between the two, you're going to root for MXM Collection together. And I, of course, thought about throwing Johnny TV in here and doing something with them and trying to give like those three against Pretty Deadly and somebody. Thought about maybe those the other two, Kit Wilson and Elton Prince, would be teaming with somebody like a Nick Nemeth that could be kind of fitting that gimmick a little bit, or doing a mixed tag of some kind, throwing in two women. Considered a couple different options there. The women. Thought about throwing the Inspiration in here as something and kind of doing like, who can I do in that fashion or whatever. And then once things started to form in a different way, then it just became, I just want these two against each other. So
I like it. I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of my favorite things that you do. Like,
well, these are not going to be the favorites. These are the two that these matches are the I just don't fucking care kinds in some fashion.
I'm probably gonna like him.
I don't know about that because this one's got Karrion Kross involved.
Okay, yeah. Rob, have you got the sound effect queued up? I assume not.
I might as well call the team something like that, but I got a new form of the culling. This is not, of course, because I already used Nico Vance separately. And I was not going to put Izzy Dame and Sean Spears together in something with Nico Vance and just try to do that or whatever. And it ultimately came down to, I had a bunch of people that were left over that didn't make a lot of sense to do in any other fashion. And I tried a couple of variations of some things. I'll explain it after I say these matches, but I've got an 8-man tag. The culling group that I've got is Brian Keith. Yep, not having Learning Tree. Thought about Learning Tree being in the Alpha Academy and Chase U thing, by the way.
this might be the worst thing that you've done.
But the culling is Brian Keith, Dexter Loomis, Karrion Kross, and Sean Spears. A group of, I don't fucking know what to do with these guys because they're all. There we go. They're all like losers, and that's why they're together. As like, well, we're all gonna be kind of like, we're a bunch of losers.
Okay, even in a presentation perspective, fuck bell to bell. I'm not arguing for Kross bell to bell, but even in a presentation perspective, Kross deserves a little better than, he's with these fucking losers in the culling.
He's gonna be another fucking loser. I
kind of look at it as like he's the leader of the losers, as like the way that people tend to be, and we didn't get into politics on this episode, but you know what I'm talking about. Losers can follow other losers very fucking easily. Whoever is like the one that can like talk a little better and like
Karrion Kross harder than Hunter. What the fuck?
I would say out of all those losers, he's the only one that's unemployed. So like.
And all of them have positives. Like, I like Sean Spears, and I think that Karrion Kross in another era could have been a bigger star, and Dexter Loomis was super fun, and Brian Keith is fun, but they all fit that kind of loser vibe. And I could see it being like, you got Kross and Spears as the two talkers of being like, okay, like, we can't accomplish anything on our own. So let's team up. And let's also try to get a couple losers. A little bit like Schism in some way. Like, let me try to appeal to...
Fucking, all of these guys suck. Get down there. Like...
The characters themselves are very much losers. And they're up against the LWO. And that's Cruz del Toro, Dragon Lee, Joaquin Wilde, and I'm throwing Hologram in there too.
What, the loser world order?
I didn't even think about that.
Get Hologram out of there. Go put him in an Ultimate X. Here, give him the Mirror Callum. We'll go put him in an Ultimate X, and you can do whatever the fuck you're doing.
I had originally Dragon Lee versus Hologram, just separate.
Yeah, it's so much better.
And then because I had on top of that, here's another match that I have on here. A heel Aleister Black against a babyface Dustin Rhodes. And I had Aleister Black and Dustin Rhodes teaming up against Karrion Kross and Dexter Loomis. I had all four as like a 4-man like mayhem, madness, whatever kind of thing, where it's, Aleister Black's like a dark kind of character. Dustin Rhodes can do that, and he's got the face paint and all that stuff, Dexter Lumis and Karrion Kross and whatever. And then I was just like, I wouldn't care about that match. And then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I could see actually Aleister Black and Dustin Rhodes having a solid match. And, being worth being separate. And then that's when I grouped my culling together a little bit more. And then, So the wins go to the LWO, obviously, over the losers, because why would the culling?
I worry about you sometimes.
For many reasons, I'm sure.
Yeah, for many reasons, but this is up there.
And I'd go
Losers.
heel Aleister Black over Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to see Dustin Rhodes beating Aleister Black.
Yeah. Aleister Black.
Aleister Black.
Let's get some women's matches on here. This is I probably would make it.
Hey, just like that when you booked it too. Let's get some women's matches on here.
No, I actually I booked the women before I booked the men, because I was just like, let me separate them. I know I'm not going to do any mixed tags eventually, or if I do, I can switch it later. But then I went through the list and I kind of finished out the women's division, and then I did the men's. I don't know.
Because in my experience, women rarely come first.
Oh god, what's the line from You Only Live Twice? Here in Japan, men come first. Women come second, if at all, or something, that whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is probably like a number one contenders match. Probably to, well, I'll say when I say who the champions are, but I kind of wanted to do like a big man buffet type of thing for certain women, but then I ended up abandoning that concept, and then I ended up coming back to it a little bit, but not in obviously big man buffet fashion. But I'm going to go the Femme Fatale 4-way. And that is Jade Cargill, Raquel Rodriguez, Nia Jax, and Zarya as the four biggest women that are all fighting for dominance. All kind of like, I'm the top alpha female around here. And okay, well, let's see you and you all fight each other. Who ends up coming out on top? And obviously Nia Jax is a heel, because that's like, she's pretty definitively always a heel. Jade, Raquel, and Zarya, take it or leave it. Heels or baby faces. I probably would have Zarya as babyface. I probably would have Raquel as a babyface, because I tend to like her a little bit more as a babyface in some ways, but it kind of depends on whoever Jade would end up being, because she could work as either way.
Gun to my head right now, I'm saying Nia heel, Raquel heel, and then keeping the other two babyface. Because I just think Raquel's babyface character was, I have a back.
That's true. But without having her with somebody smaller, like a Roxanne or a Liv, I think that loses a little bit of the umph, because Raquel on her own is not as dominant, Of course, I could just change that and make her more dominant, but
like Raquel was great as the NXT Women's Champion when she was just a dominant singles.
But between
I'd say out of all these ones, Zarya gives the most top energy.
Yeah.
She's the one that I would most likely be going with as the winner here too. It kind of depends on who I would pick for a different match later on for the women's Universal Championship or whatever it might be. But it would be either between Zarya or Nia winning this, depending on the heel or the face that wins, obviously. Actually, it probably would be, no, more than I'm thinking about it, it would probably be Nia that I would end up giving this win to. And it's a 4-way. It's not necessarily an elimination match. It can be if you wanted it to be, but you could just have one person win and, it doesn't go as long. I also just didn't, for somebody like a Jade, I didn't feel like putting her in a singles match was really going to be the best thing for her or for that other person. So got one match with the four biggest women, and the marquee kind of writes itself. Opposite side of things for that, the women's tag team championship triple threat match. I forgot that I called this group this. You can look, but you can't touch. Lola Vice and Nikki Bella.
Okay.
Obviously, butt has 2 T's on that.
I bet it does.
Lola Vice and Nikki Bella even just did it recently, so I'm not just saying, hey, look, they've got great asses. They literally made a whole point out of that.
Women had a battle royal, and Tony focused on the one moment where Lola and Nikki are just shaking their asses.
More so, I didn't have Brie, and I was like, I'm not putting Nikki in a singles match. She's got to have a tag team, or she's got to be in a multi-woman thing. And I'll spoil that she was in another group originally of my typical Mean Girls thing, because of course I do the Mean Girls thing, and I didn't really love the idea about her being in that group after a little while. And I'll spoil it. I could do the tag team of Lola Vice and Kalani Jordan instead and put Nikki in the Mean Girls group, but whatever. I don't know. I liked the name. And,
I probably would have gone with full stack because the name.
It's Lola Vice and Nikki Bella, and it's the Iconics / the Inspiration, Cassie Lee and Jessie McKay, Peyton Royce, Billy Kay, whatever you want to call. And also for the triple threat, Naomi as a babyface, and Sol Ruka. Soul Glow.
Okay.
I think it's kind of up there with red, white, and blue pants.
I love you. I do. Like, you're certainly one of the people of all time.
I certainly am. I actually had Naomi against Sol Ruka as like a mid-card championship thing, like heel Naomi against babyface Sol Ruka. And then I was like, I kind of fucking like the idea of the tag team thing. And then I wanted to balance out the number of matches on my card too. So then I was like, I'll put them in the tag thing. And I don't know, maybe even give them the titles. I think that the Inspiration go in as the champions, most likely. But you could go with any group of this coming out as the title holders or any one of them being the champions. Vice and Bella probably would be the group that I would put less emphasis on as being champions, but Soul Glow, I'd be down for that.
I like Soul Glow.
Well, I already mentioned it as a thing, so I'll just say the typical Mean Girls versus the other girls group that I've got going on. This is a 10-woman tag team elimination match. The Mean Girls group, I'm calling them, actually, on top of that, the Barbie Brigade. And that is, you know how like Barbie dolls are like, this one's, I don't know, Nurse Barbie, and this one's like Principal Barbie or whatever the fuck. Like, it's
Brain Searcher Barbie. Yeah,
it's whatever that is. So each one of these women has some kind of a little gimmicky name like that. So
I'm very concerned, but also very intrigued.
I really wanted to think of something different for Izzy Dame other than just calling her the Culling Barbie, because I was just like, you know, let me try to do something a little bit different. And I just didn't think of it before.
Wasn't she like Volleyball Barbie or some shit?
I'm looking at some names of like some really weird Barbies. So there's Kool-Aid Barbie.
Just burst through the fucking what?
There's rockin' Barbie. The Star Trek Barbie.
Of course there is.
There's Oreo Barbie.
Oreo.
Okay.
I hope that it's like she has like an Oreo dress and they're not trying to do some kind of like...
she's black.
Oh god, is she? Oh, that's even worse than I was thinking. I was going to say she didn't try to make her face an Oreo. Fuck, that's so much worse.
Hold on, you have to be lying.
No, I'm looking at it now. You can find it. It's
oh, good lord, no.
All right, well, I've got the option of being the screen share. Let's see how. Yeah. Oh god damn it! Come on, Barbie, really?
There's like Lounge Kitten Barbie.
Oh wait, there's more than one Oreo Barbie. There's the white version and the black version, and and they sell them as a 2-pack, do they? Jesus Christ!
Do they have a double stuff Barbie? I'd be interested in that.
That's the Barbie that has.
Shit. What are we doing here? Like,
oh my god, that's so...
there's George Washington Barbie. Try that one. Rosie O'Donnell Barbie.
So culling Barbie doesn't sound all that bad now. Volleyball Barbie though, like that, I like that, but I kind of like the idea too of like Izzy Dame being sort of like the darky, like edgy kind of Barbie. Like she doesn't have like a gothy kind of vibe or anything, but like she'd be like the badass kind of group out of this one. I've got Kiana James, aka Boss Bitch Barbie.
Okay, sure.
Kalani Jordan, as I said before, like you could swap Kalani and Nikki Bella in here, and then you could call her Bella Barbie. But I did put Kalani in this as one of a kind Barbie because that's apparently one of her nicknames, or like one of her finishers.
Like that's because she's just doing Rob Van Dam's split like a moonsault, so they call it the one of a kind.
Oh yeah, all right. Well, one of a kind Barbie, or if you want to go with Nikki Bella, and that she's Bella Barbie.
I think I would prefer Bella Barbie just for the alliteration.
Yeah, give or take whatever it is. Chelsea Green, Hot Mess Barbie.
President Barbie.
President Barbie is another option, but I went with Hot Mess one because I thought that'd be kind of funnier. And we haven't seen that in WWE quite yet. Not that this is technically WWE, but we said before. And of course, they're led by Glamour Barbie, Blake Monroe. So Blake Monroe, Chelsea Green, Kalani Jordan / Nikki Bella, Kiana James, and Izzy Dame. It's a hell of a group of hot, really bitchy, mean girl types against the typical alt girls scenario.
I love that you get this on every card.
Yep. At this point, if I have the option for it, I feel an obligation to do these things and make this such a running gag that like I will sacrifice better matches to do these matches as a running gag for. Obviously there's a fucking big man buffet on this card. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and you'll see what the next match that I say too. That's the match that I do all the fucking time too. But I actually gave them a name on this one because if it's, the Barbie Brigade, then the alt girls are going to be the alt tax squad because that's gimmicky enough. Alexa Bliss as the leader of the group. You got your hot gothy type of version of her. Thought about bringing her on the Barbie group, obviously Goddess Barbie. And then I was like, no, she can work better as the, emo kind of version. But Bliss is joined by Candice LeRae. Poison Pixie Barbie was another option.
This is how WWE lists them all in their like internal sheets. Okay, so instead of writing Alexa Bliss versus Candice LeRae, we're doing Goddess Barbie versus Poison Pixie Barbie, and then Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross is
the Barbie equivalent of me playing with action figures.
Nikki Cross is Ring Girl Barbie.
Nikki Cross is in the group.
God damn it! What are you doing? Like, go right for WWE. What are you doing here? Like,
hey, it ain't my fault. I keep asking them to. So Bliss,
Howard Schoolgirl Barbie,
Candice LeRae, Nikki Cross, Tatum Paxley, and Zelina Vega.
So Sad Goth Barbie and Pure. And Pure
Tatum
Barbie.
Paxley, I did have as an option if I wanted to go with 10 Barbie names. I couldn't think of a name for Zelina or Nikki. But Tatum was going to be Brooding Barbie as a possibility. And I legitimately thought that she would be the only one that didn't have the Barbie name because she has no friends. And then I was like, no, I'm not going to go Barbie for everybody. It's going to be the Barbie group against the alt group. And
your kids got like an odd number of Barbies, so they just throw the Bratz doll in there. That's Zelina Vega. She's just a Bratz doll entering the match.
If nothing else, this has made me like want to just go through the entire like WWE roster and just attach a like either Barbie or Ken name to all of them. So it's like,
I'm down for a fucking dark cast. That'd be a fun idea. God knows what happens when it comes to like Hank and Tank. So Bliss, LeRae, Cross, Paxley, and Vega against Blake Monroe, Chelsea Green, Kalani Jordan / Nikki Bella, Kiana James, and Izzy Dame. It is what it is. It's pretty self-explanatory, and as I pretty much always do in this kind of scenario, I go with the baby faces winning this because you should send the message that fuck the mean girls. the opposite of that is the typical thing that I did with the men. It's not the Barbie thing. We already had the men do their pose off with the Pretty Deadly and MXM collection thing. Instead, it's the loudmouths against the we're going to shut your mouths type of group. So you've got your Ethan Page, Austin Theory, Grayson Waller, Jack Perry, and Lexus King, a group of just smug fucking pain in the asses.
Jesus, what happened to Jack Perry? Like, now he's just grouped into the loudmouth that we want to shut their mouths.
Yep. And they're up against, admittedly, not a group that has as much cohesion as Page, Theory, Waller, Perry, and King, but still a group of that I think could be the type that you would put up against these to be like, I could see all these guys being like, I want to shut those fucking people's mouths up. So funny enough, LA Knight is the leader of that group. Which is like, hey, you don't get to talk, I get to talk. Yeah. LA Knight, Anthony Bowens, Josh Briggs, Eddie Kingston, and Mike Santana. Now, the biggest disappointment that I have here, I wanted to give Eddie Kingston a separate match that was some kind of like hardcore type thing. I actually thought about Kingston and Santana as a tag team of like two rough and tough, New Yorker guys against other people. I just didn't have another tag team to go up against because eventually I was like, oh, I could do them against Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. Oh, well, then why don't I just fucking throw them in the loudmouth thing then? Save some match time. And, I kind of have the idea in mind of like Kingston and Santana would be a tag team in this idea. Whereas Bowens and Briggs and LA Knight are three separate guys. Most likely Jack Perry, Lexus King, and Ethan Page would not be in some kind of a group, or if they were, at most it would be like Ethan Page and Lexus King, or a group, or like Jack Perry and Lexus King, or tag team or something. But yeah, it's vibes.
You're such a WWE guy. It's so funny.
Look at who I drafted. I drafted predominantly WWE people and then some AEW people, and then threw a couple TNA guys in there. Which that was one of the problems. I wish that I could have maybe not picked as many WWE people and picked a couple of AEW people just for some variety. But that's when I kind of was like, oh, you know what? I like the idea of like Jack Perry, Lexus King, Waller in Theory, and Page together. Like they're all fucking dickheads. Why not? LA Knight's group wins. Again, you go with the baby faces. Why not? This is a quick one. Heel Liv Morgan against Thea Hale.
Yeah. Also could have been in the Barbie match, by the way.
Yep. Liv Morgan could have been on the Alt squad, could have been on the Barbie squad. Thea Hale could have been on either one of them, technically. You could have gone with, if you really want to stick with the WWE idea where they were fucking obsessed with her going through puberty, puberty Barbie or something.
No. No.
Did not anticipate I would be saying that on this podcast, but whatever.
No, like
right after the fucking YouTube gets to automatic closed captioning. You're welcome for that. For puberty Barbie popping up on here. I think that actually Liv Morgan and Thea Hale would work really well together, all things considered. Like, obviously, this is not the most important, biggest match that's ever existed, but like, I want Thea Hale to be on that main roster, and I think that Liv Morgan would be a really good opponent for her, and ultimately, heel Liv Morgan beats babyface Thea Hale because that's it's more likely to happen. So that's just I didn't want to make it an 11 or 12 woman tag team match instead or something. We could have some singles matches for the women's division. And we could also have this singles match in the men's division. This one I legitimately, like, when I thought about this idea, I was like, okay, I actually really fucking do want to see this too, even though it's kind of on the lower card side of things. Dominic Mysterio against Nick Nemeth. Nick Nemeth being the babyface. I think that he could sell really well and play goofy with Dom and be a great opponent for like Dom to beat. And, like that level of like you're beating a former world champion, but it's Dolph Ziggler. So it's not like it's like Dom is beating fucking Roman Reigns. You know what I mean? This could be a solid mid card, fighting for a potential shot at a Intercontinental or something title match. Dom beats Ziggler.
Yeah, that's where Ziggler is now. So that works.
Yeah, but that also just literally feels like what WWE would be doing with Ziggler if he was still there.
Yeah.
So let's go for a pretty big match here. This would be it's damn near could be world title match. Maybe this is like top of the mid card. Maybe this is a number one contenders type of match for these types of things. Get yourselves excited. Orange Cassidy against Seth Rollins.
That's good.
Repeat that?
Orange Cassidy, Seth Rollins.
I like it.
I'm
Largely
more
because of
thinking
Orange
about-
Cassidy's in it.
I'm more thinking about how much denim can Seth Rollins denim on the way to the ring.
Seth Rollins is
Like-
so over the top, and he's so like reactive to things. Like Orange Cassidy was the person, which to no surprise, the person that I had the most amount of options to work with. And I wrote down like Orange Cassidy, Drew McIntyre. I'd love to see that. I wrote down Orange Cassidy, Roman Reigns, even at one point of being like, how does Roman react to somebody like an Orange Cassidy? Orange Cassidy against Logan Paul was an option that I thought of, like, that could work. Orange Cassidy against Brock Lesnar was an option I was legitimately considering. And I was just like, I don't know how the fuck that would work, but I would be very curious to see what happens there. I thought Orange Cassidy against Randy Orton. I thought Orange Cassidy against Gunther. It was a spoiled roster for Orange Cassidy. And at the end of the day, I just thought out of all the balancing act that I had done, Orange Cassidy, Seth Rollins would be a hell of a match.
I really, as stupid as it is, because Seth Rollins is a great wrestler, one of the best of his generation. The only thing I can think about is, but what is the level of denim that we're wearing? Because the match is going to be what the match is going to be. I'm previewing it like we're going to actually fucking see it. Orange Cassidy's going to do the hands in the pockets, and they're going to have a great match. And the focus is going to be on, wow, even the glasses were denim. He's wearing jeans on his eyes. This is what he's doing. Like, I like it. It's a very good Forbidden Door match. It's a very Tony match, and I like it.
Yeah, I think it would be something that they would potentially consider for a WWE / AEW type Forbidden Door thing. I'm just personally not infused by it because I just I'm so out on Seth Rollins. Like, I couldn't give a flying fuck about whoever he faced. Like, so that's just the one issue I have.
So-
but that's my personal thing with Rollins.
Like, you're just out in general between the ropes and character-wise, or
Oh yeah, I probably would have drafted 50 people before I got to Seth Rollins if the option was available to me.
is it just now that he's so embedded into the WWE mindset and culture?
I just think he's dull. I think he's dull. Like I've gotten zero interest in seeing Seth do anything anymore. I don't know what it is about him. It's just like he's never connected with me as a when he was doing like some of his really great work in his Intercontinental title run. That was like okay, that's really good stuff because he's just having great matches every single week. Now it's just like the characters that annoying. Like the ring works worse than it was because he's just had too many injuries. So yeah, I'm just very uninfused by. He's everyone has that person that everyone else thinks is great, and like I just think I just don't get it, and I think he sucks.
I just think it's interesting that like Rollins is like that's borderline Ziggler territory for you. I think you would admit Rollins is still ahead of Ziggler, but like it's that same mentality.
Yeah, well, when Ziggler was at his peak, that'd probably be what I'd think about Rollins now. So yeah, that's like so eventually in like 5 years' time, he will be where Ziggler is now.
With
in my
more
perspective,
accolades to show.
Oh yeah, with a lot. Oh yeah, definitely with and probably still with WWE and like in in a more prominent position. But yeah, there's just, it's like he's a guy that just doesn't connect with me at all.
So I had thought about a couple different options with that. I thought Prime Seth Rollins against Prime Chris Jericho, of course, would work a lot. But since I go with Orange Cassidy against Seth Rollins the other night, has Chris Jericho, babyface, Prime, whatever year you want to call them, maybe like a 2007 kind of vibe or something, against Logan Paul. Two people that are problematic, of course, for their multiple different reasons. But if you can separate that, and in this fantasy world where I can convert bad people into good people, you keep them in the ring and you keep them with their characters and stuff. I think Chris Jericho would work really well with Logan Paul. I also gave a lot of consideration to Brock Lesnar versus Logan Paul, and just to see the two of those wail at each other, and probably Brock ends up winning. But I think that Jericho and Logan Paul would ultimately work a little better. And
Jericho and Logan Paul is absolutely the kind of match the WWE would put Logan Paul in right now.
Oh yeah. I think that works well. I just hope that match doesn't get cancelled.
The match is happening on January 6th. It's
in Japan.
In Washington.
Yeah. God forbid it's like something on a pole match or something,
Jesus fucking Christ.
Some kind of rope match.
It's okay. Jericho will just donate afterward and try to claim that he's a good person. He dabbles in things here and there.
I mean, to be fair, Logan Paul dabbles in wrestling, so
there you go. It's the dabble match or something. I don't know. So I didn't pick a winner between Orange Cassidy Rollins or Jericho Paul. I didn't pick winners there. I probably would say realistically, if you're locked in as like kayfabe, probably Rollins and Paul win. But I could see a scenario where like Orange Cassidy is able to beat Seth Rollins. I just don't think that Chris Jericho probably would end up beating Logan Paul, because Jericho tended to lose a lot of things like that. But, I could also just as easily see Jericho making Logan Paul tap out. So any of those four winning, sure.
Depending on what era Jericho we're getting, it would really be whether or not he wins. I think I'd give him the win, and then I'd give Cassidy the roll up. Like, he gets Rollins with the seatbelt, and then Rollins can, like, maniacally chase after him in the
flip out super mad. Yeah.
Again, I don't know why. The only way for me to book these things is to magically think about where they're going after, which is ridiculous.
Intercontinental / whatever mid-card name you go with, championship match, Braun Breaker against JC Mateo. No story. I just want to see those against each other.
What? Okay, like, is this your elevator pitch for WWE's hiring a new writer? Please, like, I want it to be me.
They should.
This just feels like a very modern WWE card.
Yeah, I think that match would.
I mean, that match would slap,
be good,
of course. but like, it's just something I can see happening 5 times on Raw before we even get to a pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean, that's the downside to WWE doing things the way that they do with that. But like, to me, this would be the type of thing where, like, best case scenario, you got like babyface Braun Breaker. I still don't think that Braun Breaker should be a heel right now, even just in like the actual reality. I want to cheer that fucker when he spears people, and I'm not alone in that. And Jason Mateo should be a fucking bigger deal. Like, they decided so quickly with Jeff Cobb to just be like, you're in a group, you're going to look good for like 3 weeks, and then fuck you.
He's just another heater.
Yeah.
For Solo Sikoa, which is weird. Like, you employ Tongaloa, stick him in these matches where people lose, and then have JC Mateo be a bigger deal.
And if you knew that Tala Tonga was going to be like in the mix very soon, JC Mateo shouldn't even be in that group. He should just be a guy on the roster. He's not even fucking Samoan. Like, So that's one of the reasons why I
I
very quickly took JC Mateo out of the MFT thing. I was just like, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt of not booking, this Hawaiian guy as a Samoan. And I'll be better on that front. Plus, he deserves better at this point. And I think that's a great matchup as far as like Intercontinental title level. And like, I'd probably have Breaker go in as champion and retain his championship. And just have like Mateo as like a really solid challenger heel for it. I actually didn't settle on where like that other mid-card title would be. So maybe it would be this, but not necessarily. But this would be some kind of a no DQ element of some kind. But I didn't really, you could give it any kind of name and just kind of, it's not like Belfast Brawl because it's not the Sheamus and stuff. But you could do some kind of street fight or, whatever. But heel Drew McIntyre against the babyface Mark Briscoe. I got a feeling that those two would work really well together.
Yeah, I'd watch it. Like, yeah, I'd watch. Yeah, that is a match I would watch.
And I could see Drew like doing really good promos with Mark Briscoe, where he's just like, "I don't fucking understand what you said," and then Mark Briscoe being like, "I didn't understand what you said," like bullshit too.
Okay. I know it sounds like I'm ragging on Tony a little bit here, but even just in that sentence, doesn't that feel like the most Monday Night Raw presentation of Mark
totally
Briscoe
is.
ever? Like, I think I'm seeing clearly. Like, you need to be writing Raw. Like, that's what
WWE. What the fuck?
No, I think that like that's a really good thing of having a very cocky, arrogant, strong Drew McIntyre go against the plucky underdog Mark Briscoe, and Briscoe just throwing his body at McIntyre to try and survive. And yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun in some sort of hardcore context, definitely.
And Drew McIntyre wins because Mark Briscoe's like such a great example of a guy that you run a route for, but he comes up short more often than not in those kind of big case scenarios. So let's go with something a little silly now, as if we haven't already had some of those. I have two, as if the other things aren't particularly silly. These are the like silly among silly things. Max Caster has an open challenge. You could call it an open
mic challenge.
It could be an open mic challenge. That's what I have it listed down as. And who answers it? R-Truth.
And they just rap for 5 minutes, don't they, Tony? Don't they? Go ahead. Like, they're just gonna rap for 5 minutes, aren't they? And then R-Truth's gonna roll them up. Is that what's gonna happen?
Max Caster wins.
Okay.
One of those self-explanatory types of things. It's
pretty low billing for the best wrestler alive. But okay, I can get it.
Yeah.
It's the warm up to the big match with Little Jimmy.
What's up with the best wrestler alive? Whatever you want to call the segment.
Is it gonna be a match where you've built it up with a kind of a more serious storyline, but then you're just gonna forget about it in the last week, and then it's just gonna happen as a match afterwards?
And then somebody could say that R-Truth was acting weird for a little bit.
Yeah.
So obviously that plays into like if I were to have rearranged this into like do this match and then that match kind of format, this would have been like a bathroom break comedy segment more than anything else, as would this other match on a different night. Although this one, I'm making it an I quit match, but I'm not making it an I quit match as in you have to say I quit. You have to say something else instead. Because it's Bo Dallas against Joe Hendry.
I hate you.
And you have to say I believe.
I hate you. Let's no, because the deal is it's clearly an I believe match. So you either Joe Hendry says I believe, or Bo Dallas says I believe in Joe Hendry. God damn it! That probably got a lot of your thought energy, didn't it? You're just like,
no.
This one.
When we were still drafting, I was like, I'm putting those two together. Like, fuck the Wyatt Six. I'm not keeping the Wyatt Six together. I did try to figure out a way to get the Wyatt Six as like some kind of group and put them up against some other kind of like, you know, Wyatt Six against the Culling. I was like, I really don't fucking care about that. And then like Wyatt Six against like the LWO thing. And I was like, no, who the fuck cares about that too? And Wyatt Six against the like the family, Wyatt Six against the MFTs, like, you know, groups that would be like family type groups. And I was just like, no, I don't fucking like the Wyatt Six. And then I was like, the most fun that Bo Dallas ever was the whole I believe things. And like, I believe in Joe Hendry. Fuck yeah. I'm going to go in that direction and have a funny segment like that. This, I'm honestly disappointed in. I'll fully admit. I could not, for the fucking sake of me, figure out something that I really particularly liked for Roman Reigns. Because he's fought everybody that really would matter. And then it was like, I don't want Roman versus MJF. I don't want Roman versus, like, say, Brock again. I don't want Roman up against Solo Sikoa. It's just like, I had too many of the Anoa'i group, and I didn't want any crossover there.
You could have spread the wealth in that case, pal. You drafted like 25 Samoans in 2 picks.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So instead, I was just like, you know, if you take the goggles off a little bit and you suspend your disbelief and you treat this as like, in a world where all of these, you know, the urge to merge happened in reality. And there are 3 wrestling promotions that exist on the entire planet. And the 3 of us are the Tony Khans and the Triple H's of these promotions. If you go into it in fantasy mode, you can make this argument.
You put him against Wardlow, didn't you?
Moose against Roman Reigns.
Holy fucking shit.
You can try. It's a fucking stretch. You can try to make the argument that Moose would be like, I was the top dog in TNA. And of course he fucking loses, because there's no way that Moose would be Roman Reigns.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Dude, I don't think you think me and Malkova can stretch that far.
Wait, something's lost on me.
Yes. That's a set reference. yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so
we're playing Superstar versus Porn Star. That's what we're playing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let me explain something to you here, because even if gun to your head, the Brock Lesnar match is still, they've never been in Hell in a Cell. They've never been. You can give them a gimmick. But even then, you've got the working man of all working men, Eddie Kingston, who can say, my family didn't, give me a golden ticket to this universe. My uncle was, bumming cigarettes at the bodega on the corner. You could create a story that people would want to see. Even if you didn't do that, you've got, Roman versus MJF. Even if you didn't do that, you've got fucking anyone under the sun and you with Moose. You don't even watch. How many Moose matches have you seen?
Probably about 8.
Good Lord.
But I do make the argument that if you were to try to say that Moose is like top person in TNA and he's got the robe and he's the fucking franchise and all that, that it's like, all right, well, he's batting up and he says, well, I could fucking have that match with Roman. He said it before himself. He's like, I would love to have this match with Roman. He's not on the same level. So of course he loses.
I would love $1 million to flow into my bank account. That doesn't mean that if I have all complete creative control, that it's somehow just magically going to bend the rules of time and space and logic and put Roman Reigns against Moose. he fucking, oh my God.
I knew I'd lose you on that, but I'm going to bring it back on this one. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn against Edge and Christian.
Okay.
Steen Erico against the Suicide Blondes, whatever you want to call them, E and C.
Like, that's for the Endora match that we want to see. You got two Canadian best friends. They both turned on each other ungodly amount of times.
Mm-hmm.
There's comedy there. We're laughing. We're fighting. We're watching hockey. I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Owens and Edge, of course, are the
cool
two
match.
that won more world titles. Zayn hasn't won a world title yet. Christian only won one after Edge was gone. So you can have that whole like big brother, little brother kind of dynamic, and almost like Edge and Christian arguing with each other, and Owens and Zayn arguing with each other, even though they're friends. And like, you know, I even thought about making this a 4-way too, but I was like, just put them in a tag.
Not to completely disagree with your point, but Christian is technically a 4-time world champion.
Oh yeah.
So,
no, I mean, he's great. Like that's not a, you know, and Sami Zayn will win a world title at some point.
Yes, Edge always had to be out of the picture. But I think there is a way to tell that story. That's at least something I really want to see. You know, I really would love to see that.
And this was the third match that I booked of the whole thing. Where I was just like, I'm going Owens, Zayn, Edge, and Christian. And then I never really thought twice about doing anything else. Even though I could have done like Sami Zayn against Orange Cassidy. Oh, it's Kevin Owens against Orange Cassidy. Could have gone Christian Cage against Dominic Mysterio was like a thought. You know, like there's all four of them are great.
Based on daddy issues?
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Because I didn't get that far into that. I was just like, it's Edge and Christian. I was, you know.
Yeah. I think this has been a great match, but I think the only way it can fitly end is that at the end, the ending of the match is it turns into Kevin Owens and Christian Cage versus Sami Zayn and Edge instead.
Realistically, it could. Yeah. If I had to keep it,
wait a minute, we hate these guys.
It's like, you know what? You've been more of a dick to me than these people were. Yeah, and you've been more of a dick to me than what the fuck? Anyway, and then they just like stand on the opposite ends, and then
ain't your buddy Guy? Ain't your buddy Pat? How'd it go?
I would say you could call that the tag team title match, but I have two other matches that would make more sense for tag team titles. So instead, it's just feud stuff, feud fodder. We got next. Here's one of those just 6-man tags. The Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley, MVP, and Shelton Benjamin against Judgment Day, Damian Priest, Finn Balor, and JD McDonough. Sure. Yeah, couldn't think of anything better for these teams, and that's relatively fair. You got like Priest is the big guy, Lashley's the big guy, Balor is like kind of on par with Shelton, or maybe MVP in his prime. JD McDonough on the lower end. Probably JD McDonough takes the pin. Mostly
that's
leaning towards Hurt Syndicate being baby faces there and Damian Priest and then them being heels, but you could also just make the Judgment Day the cool guys too if you want.
That's a fun match.
Of course, we need to have our big man buffet. There are 8 people in this, so it is... it's the big man buffet 8 ATE way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
hilarious.
I'm perpetually adding more and more to this. So when it's a number 1 contenders match, I'm always going to call this going forward the number 1 special for that XL championship. So it's the big man buffet 8-way XL title number 1 special battle royal. Big Bill, Eric Rowan, Hank Walker, Joe Gacy, Tala Tonga, Tank Ledger, Tomohiro Ishii, and Wardlow. Self-explanatory. Big men in a big man buffet.
When are you going to add food to these?
Like George Costanza?
When do we get an actual buffet? Where it's
probably whenever we book something around Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I was gonna say it has to be a Thanksgiving card.
I get it because of your like your inclinations. You should do Tomohiro Ishii versus Roman Reigns if move was the other option. Like, you know, it just pains me to see that Tomohiro Ishii's going to be just thrown into this like nothing battle royal.
Too bad you're getting Tomohiro Ishii versus Moose. The winner is up for grabs. I'm going to let you guys pick. You got Big Bill, Eric
Ishii.
Rowan, Walker, Gacy, Tonga, Ledger, Wardlow, and Ishii.
Yeah, let's go. I'm going Ishii. So, but if it was like ranking, it'd be one of either Ishii, Bill, or Wardlow. But yeah, the others don't really care about. So, but I'd go Ishii because he'd have the most fun match with whoever would be his opponent.
His opponent is between the Big Man Belt match, the XL Championship. Bronson Reed has a heel against babyface Powerhouse Hobbs. That I actually would legitimately want to see Reed against Hobbs. And babyface Hobbs retains the title. So Big Man Buffet is whoever fights babyface Powerhouse Hobbs.
Yeah. There's a lot of meat in that match. So that's a good one between Hobbs and Reed. That works.
And you have to endorse it by default, Rob, because it's got Bronson Reed in it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I in the future, I saw him coming. I will always take credit for Bronson Reed.
Okay, I was like, wait a minute. I'm like losing track of which ones I hadn't put the little X down next to since I don't have this in order. Brock Lesnar against Jacob Fatu. Let me just see that.
Yep.
And fuck you, Brock. Yeah. Jacob Fatu wins.
Yeah, you would do that.
I will admit, after all of the why is he back? Why is he back? The only two things that entered my mind with what do you want to see this guy do? I said, well, they're getting the Gunther match, and then you should probably do Jacob Fatu.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're insisting on using Brock Lesnar, have him put over Jacob Fatu and have him put over Gunther.
And that's part of the reason why I was like, oh, I'm not going to do Roman and Brock. I mean, I wouldn't want to see that again anyway, but no, give the win to Jacob Fatu. And let's do something a little bit different. Let's have them beat the tar out of each other, and Jacob Fatu comes out in the end being like a previously bad person who seems to be legitimately wanting to be a better person, and then a piece of shit who loses. Oh, I'm going to be afraid of Brock Lesnar hears this podcast and beats me up.
I would rather have Heyman ringside for this one, rather than the let's have another triple threat where Heyman is the centerpiece of the match.
Oh, I wouldn't have Heyman as the centerpiece of that Cody and Orton MJF thing. He would just be with MJF.
He would force himself to be that.
So Jacob Fatu wins that, and 4 more matches left here. I have 2 different triple threats for the tag team titles. One is DIY, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, against the Dirt Sheet, Johnny TV / John Morrison and The Miz, and the Major Bros, Matt Cardona / Zack Ryder and Brian Myers / Kurt Hawkins. You could have gone with any kind of like combination of different tag teams because I like most of the tag teams that I had gotten. And I just thought, I don't know, for some reason I thought Major Bros, Dirt Sheet, and DIY could work really well together. And that's
congratulations to me at 14 who booked this match.
Right? Like it's, it's definitely showing a bias of like these are 2 of my favorite tag teams of all time. And then I overall I like the Major Bros.
I appreciate this match very much. I don't know if it's the best thing DIY could be doing, but it's something I appreciate.
Yeah, there were triple. Oh, go ahead.
I was like, Miz is in it, so 2 stars.
The other triple threat tag team match I have is the Usos, Trick Mello Gang, and the New Day.
So I also like shoehorned a lot of people into things, but I tried to keep some kind of thematic. How did Trick Mello Gang get in New Day Usos?
Overall, because I had I had like all 6 of these, and then I had a couple other teams. Like I still had, you know, the possibility of the Eddie Kingston and Mike Santana thing and all. And I was just like, you know, Kingston and Woods against the New Day always works. So those two probably would be paired up. And if I'm going to throw another team in there, I needed a heel team, like a definitive heel team. And between the Dirt Sheet and Trick Mello, I thought, yeah, we haven't seen the Trick Mello thing as much. And I think that Morrison and Miz would work better opposite Gargano, Ciampa, and the Major Bros as like that kind of style. Whereas Trick and Mello would be a little bit more like Trick could get an opportunity with the New Day and the Usos of being like kind of the tall guy. He's not necessarily like the tall guy. Like he's not, you know, 7 foot tall, but like he could be the power guy, and Trick offsets the style of like Mello being kind of a high flyer like Kofi. And overall, I just think that they probably could have better promos together too. And like Trick Mello gang being the heels, New Day being baby faces, Usos being baby faces as well. Versus like the other triple threat, DIY or babyface is probably Dirt Sheets, most likely heels, Major Bros probably like tweenerish, wherever you want to land.
I don't dislike it. It's one of those, like, no matter what you do, if you're in a rut, you tag in New Day Usos.
Mm-hmm.
Even now, like we're so far removed, and Yeet Man is a thing of his own. But like, when push comes to shove, and you just book New Day Usos and you're fine. You know, like at Trick Mello Gang, I genuinely think when Trick gets called up, it'll be about 4 months before they go, you want to do that again? And everybody goes, yep.
Give them more credit for 4 months. I'm thinking it's going to be almost not time at all.
So we'll see, but I like it.
And those are basically the 2 tag title matches. Obviously, if it's like, you know, triple threat ladder match or some kind of some of the other gimmick or whatever. Rounding it out, we got our 2 top women's championship matches. Dr. Britt Baker as a heel against Stephanie Vaquer, who comes out on top.
Britt. Yeah.
This feels like very similar to when I booked Becky and Thunder, and you're just like, yeah, man, 6 years ago, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, right now, Britt Baker is not in the best scenario. No.
like, fuck yeah, bro.
But then again, if we were booking exactly who they are right now, Chris Jericho couldn't do shit against Logan Paul. So, like, you know.
No, Chris Jericho would absolutely still wrestle Logan Paul. That's the thing.
Yeah, it would just not be particularly good.
I bet on this. Yeah, I can't
Again,
co-sign anything with Britt Baker in it. I'm afraid.
Again, even I had to book Deonna Purrazzo, who I love, in the pre-show. Like, you sort of feel the vibes, and the vibes with this one say your mind is still in 5 years ago, as far as Baker is concerned, which is unfortunate, but that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, and she crumbles.
Yeah.
She loses. I think you'll like it. Good.
I'd say if it's up to me, I would have put probably someone like Soul Rooker in this match instead of Britt.
Hell yeah,
But,
love
yeah,
Soul
so-
Rooker getting love.
I'm just
And,
looking through your list of people and just like different women that I would have put into it instead. But yeah, to be fair, it's pretty much all except probably about a dozen that I would have put ahead of Britt. But you know, that's fine. It's she's a bigger star than the other one, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I never book with just the idea of mind of like bell to bell, would I like this match better, and I'll sacrifice other matches to have that. I try to book a little bit more of like marquee of like Baker is the bigger star. It might not be as good of a match. I mean, it wouldn't be as like Sol Ruca is more entertaining, but like you got to do more heavy lifting at this point to try to be like, okay, why is it Sol Ruca against Stephanie Vaquer other than 2 good wrestlers against each other? So Baker's a heel. She loses to Stephanie Vaquer. The bigger deal for the women's championship, top title, whatever you want to call it, Charlotte Flair as a heel, losing the championship to babyface Willow Nightingale.
I mean, like, yeah, right?
Yep.
Like, fucking yeah. Like, I love me some Willow Nightingale.
So that's where I'm
That's all I
like,
got.
probably Nia would win, and it'd be Nia against Willow to be a good opponent, to be like the first person that Willow can beat.
Because you gotta have an opponent.
You gotta have an opponent, yeah. And it's like, oh, you might have beaten, somebody like Charlotte Flair, but now you're up against somebody that's your size, and I'm a former champion too, and all that. And then it's like, oh, now Willow wins anyway, and you're like, oh, fuck yeah, like Willow's on a good streak here.
And then Willow pounces Nia Jax, and she lands and says, "My hole."
Yeah, I don't know if I'd like how I would actually have split this up as far as like, the last match of the first night is so and so, and whatever like that. Probably would have had Willow Nightingale beating Charlotte as the main event of the first night, and then the Cody and Randy and MJF thing is main event of night 2. But Gunther Samoa Joe, that's another one that's like,
you peaked early with that.
it wouldn't have been Britt and Vaquer certainly wouldn't have been a main event. That would have.
But I mean the way you introduced them, you definitely peaked at the start with Gunther and Joe, because I want to watch that match. I want to watch that. I want to watch Owens and Zayn against Edge and Christian. I would like to watch. I always get a kick out of your big man buffets, so I'd probably watch that and laugh a little bit. But definitely those two matches are the ones that stick out.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree that like it's Gunther Samoa Joe because I booked that match, so of course I'm going to that match. I've like Reed against Hobbs and McIntyre against Briscoe, Owen Zayn against Edge and Christian. That works. The worst thing you booked is Moose versus Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I knew that would end up getting the worst criticism.
It's so asinine. Like I can't even begin to explain how upset I am at you.
As an equivalent, that's like putting if you're just looking at like the NXT side of things, that's like booking Roman Reigns against Javon Evans, or Ethan Page, probably.
Well, it's genuinely like being like, but it's Roman Reigns versus Trick Williams. Don't you care about that? Like,
nah.
But also shout out to your I Believe match. I think it's very funny.
Oh yeah, that and the Rumble Runway are fun. That's like Tony doing only things that Tony would do type match.
Yeah, if I had a different thought process of not playing into these gimmicky things, I don't even know what I would do, because I just go straight to like, okay, let me make my big man buffet list. So next whole set of mock draft things and stuff that we have, I don't know what the future is going to be for that, but be looking forward to another Mean Girls versus non-Mean Girls on their XL championship, whatever, blah blah scenario that I always do. Because I'm going to try to keep all of them as much as I possibly can, keep some of these gimmicks going.
Your main goals are just like big dudes, and I'm going to give them their own belt because they're big.
Yeah. Like, something that Babatunde could have won, because,
because he was big.
Not a whole lot of people were, but at the same time, he would have been a great big man buffet XL championship winner.
We have said that for like 5 years minimum, and it's just funny every time.
You gotta wonder at a certain point, like, obviously this is not a podcast that gets, hundreds of thousands of clicks on every single video and whatever that might be, but like, you gotta wonder if like that's been going on for a while. What if fucking Babatunde ever heard?
The thing that pops me is there's at least 5 people out there who just go, "Oh, it's Babatunde, he's big," and not a lot of people are.
Yeah, it's Dabakato. He's big,
He's big.
Alrighty, well, those are our cards. Of course, let us know your highs and your lows. Who'd you like the best? Which one did you like the least? Anything along those lines? What would you do with these different people too? I know that some people were saying that like they were also interested in the idea of there was a pitch of instead of booking a card, booking like a week worth of shows and being like, okay, this is like an episode of Raw, this is an episode of SmackDown, like that kind of thing. You can play around with it some more if you want, and we could also expand on this. We could also still do what we've done here and there, but we tend not to do it as much lately, of like the ultimate combo card, where like, hey, we have quite literally everybody that's in the world of pro wrestling right now, and the three of us decide, you know, we debate like, this is how we use this person, and then this person pitches this, instead of us having our own separate cards or something like that. There are so many different ways and fluctuations that we can do with mock drafts and fantasy booking and matchmaker, creative control type things. So it's all up to you. If you show your support for one thing or another, if you say that you're clamoring for something, then we will all, of course, keep that in mind and try to roll that into the next idea. And the more that you support it, the more that we will go ahead and do these things. I always have fun doing them. And I know that I speak for these guys. They always have fun too. So if you are enjoying it, let us know by hitting the like button. Make sure that you are subscribed. Make sure that you toss a little spare change our way. Like, to be perfectly honest, if I get like a donation, it's like, hey, I'm joining the Darkcast tier because I really want you to do more of the fantasy booking. Hell yeah. All right. You know, the more support, the better. So also keep in mind, if you want to check out anything else that I've got going on, you can find everything that I've got linked up on the amangotree.com list. Just go ahead and subscribe or follow whatever those different platforms are, like Letterboxd or, I don't know, fucking LinkedIn. I don't know why you would want to add me on LinkedIn, but fucking go ahead.
You already found your wife. Get off
True.
LinkedIn.
Yeah. It's not like it's doing me any fucking good. I just get people constantly going, hey, you have a YouTube channel. Can you pay me to take clips and put them up on TikTok? And then I'm like, no. Oh, well, I'm so different. I will help you get better.
You
No.
do podcast? I do podcast management.
Yep. I mean, quite literally, it's like multiple times a week, I'm just like, ignore connection request. I do not want to pay you for you to tell me that you can help my podcast, when all you're going to tell me is that, you know, you want some money. Like, no, fuck you.
Yeah, but you're LinkedIn goated because you met your wife on fucking LinkedIn. So shout out to you.
That's true. So shout out to her. Probably in the other room napping right now. Yeah, follow me on all those things, anthonymango.com. You'll find a list of all those different Facebook accounts, Twitter accounts, Instagram that I never post on. Go ahead and add me on any of those if you want.
You can add me on anything you want at Dude Felice. That's Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, all the things. It's at Dude Felice everywhere. I am in the process of trying to find a gimbal so I can do like short form content on my phone just as I'm sitting here, and then the phone, I'll film just quick things, because I desperately want to do just some of my own things. So that may be coming. I always appreciate the support. I love these guys. And by these guys, I mean Tony and, of course, Callum, who you should be following as well.
You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Wigmeister14. Check out the power rankings every single Saturday over on smark.com, where I rank the WWE superstars based on their previous week's performances. And while you're over there, you can head on over to the Fantasy League, also at wwefantasyleague.com, to see how our teams are doing, what the standings are looking like, what trades have been made recently, as we head towards Clash in Paris, the next big show where points will be scored. So, yeah, follow that along there and see how our rosters are performing.
Man, am I happy about that Seth Rollins thing working out.
Yeah, it did work out very well for you. I mean,
that was a fucking gamble.
just so people know, like, Tony is very far ahead of both of us. Like,
It's bullshit.
Per last week, me and Rob were both on the same number of points, but Tony is a good 100+ points ahead of us. So
Fuck yeah.
He's a cheater. He's a cheater. He eats pumpkins. He eats squash, folks.
He loves filling himself with seed.
Exactly. Can you trust a man like that?
I think you can. I think you can trust the guy that booked Moose against Roman Reigns.
He's a terrorist. He's a booking terrorist.
Yeah, that is domestic fantasy booking terrorism. To be ashamed.
Alrighty, everybody, you know the deal. Hit the like button and all that stuff. If you haven't already, drop those comments below and stay tuned. The next thing you're going to be hearing from us is going to be the hot tags, where we are going to break down, of course, anything that happened over this week that we are, interested in talking about. Is Naomi pregnant? We get no fucking confirmation yet, but it kind of seems like it. Adriana Rizzo injured. We got the releases of Ashanti the Adonis, Scarlett, and Karrion Kross. We've got the AEW All Out counter programming, whatever else ends up happening. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. And of course, live coverage of some certain events elsewhere. Not going to do a post show for TNA or for Triple Mania. But I mean, obviously, if there's like a groundswell of support, if somebody does pick your poison and they're like, we really desperately want you to do that, then I will. But adios for now, though. See you again next time around. And this has been another Smark Out moment. We're being counted out.